everybody doing tonight? Did you have a good Halloween? It says we have 200 people on this side and then there's 0 right there. Wow. That really sucks. We only have 0 people. Yeah, come on, YouTube. Let's get it going here. Oh, boy. I got to tell you something, man. I am really disappointed in humanity, just in as a whole in general. It's just like there's so many things about them. People. We're all fallible. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's guilty. There's nobody that's without sin, right? Everybody is what they are. The problem is that everybody wants to be more than what they are, and they want to play God, and they want to be something more than they are. And I got to tell you, it's so disheartening when these people, they do something rotten, and then they don't come clean and say, hey, look, I did this. I'm sorry. Let's work it out, whatever. But the true colors come out. The mask comes off. You see them for what they are. Petty, insignificant, jealous people, angry as the day is long. Why? Because you're more successful than they are? Because you have a head of hair and they don't? What is their deal? Like, what is the problem, man? Okay. I'm not picking up on that. Hang on 1 second, folks. We'll get started here. We have a guest coming on in just a little bit. Should be a good show. I'm pleased to do this show tonight. I hope it. We're just having some fun, some Halloween fun, right? That's that mask hair is just from Halloween. That's all it is. And so.
Yeah, I'm Major Tom tonight.
Well, it's pretty obviously Anthony because you don't have the shield down. That's
I don't know who Anthony is.
You're supposed to have it all down when you say. And who are you supposed to be?
I'm waiting on my transmission from ground control.
It's pretty obvious who I am. I am a sister wife. I mean Truffles. I am Truffles, our pig.
Oh, okay. He's not very pink though. You do kind of look like this other YouTuber that does stuff, skits and. Well, they try to anyway. They try to.
What is I?
Can I call you Sarah?
You can call.
I'm just gonna make up a name for you. I'm just gonna call you Sarah. There's no meaning behind it. I just want to call you that.
Hang on,
wow.
Major Tom is. Ground control is. I'm receiving a transmission from ground control. Ground control. This is Major Tom. Come in. Ground control. What is that? PRT is better. They just do it better. Their camera resolution is better. Their audio is better. Their physical appearance is better. Their brains are better. They have more hair. Okay.
Well, we found out one thing on Halloween from their special. Y'all can't be related to me. Tony, you're actually my godson. He's my nephew, but apparently you can't be related to me because you're not the same color as me, according to them.
Well, I'm pink.
Yeah. Well, now you are. He needed to do that so he could blend in and try to look like he was more like one of us. It's a sad thing. We're trying to prove to these people that we're, But that's apparently what was said. You can't be related to me. That doesn't work like that because you're a person of color, according to what they said. Isn't that racist? That's very racist. Go check out Chris Cluffington, Sir Cluffington, and some of the videos he's done. He's made some pretty interesting things here. So go check it out. And I'll tell you another thing. The rats come out of their holes. They come out of their holes right now because they think, oh, he's busy dealing with stuff, so we're just going to come out and be rude and snarky and be our asinine selves, and everybody's just going to have to deal with it. No, that's not how it works, man. Had a guy do it earlier. I want to say something really quickly here, and I'm not going to take up much of the show for this, all right? This is not what we're here for, but it needs to be heard. Yeah, you watch it. Z Monette says just watch 2 of his videos. Wow, yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. And there's some other people that are going to be making some videos too. If you go watch the one made by the Tall Ones, that one's pretty telling. And then you got the one made by Eric Palacios. That one's very damaging. These people, they decided to all throw their lot in together on a sinking ship, I guess. I mean, they're kind of being quiet now because what else can they do? We did amazing numbers on our Tuesday Halloween show. I don't even know what it's up to now, several thousand. But on Halloween night, us and Hellbent Holler were both at 530, 540, something like that. I think the highest numbers were screenshotted. I think ours was 540, theirs was 5.
It's pretty much neck and neck the whole time.
5 something, but ultimately I think they got more views overall.
Yeah,
They got more views, and that's fine. They do a great job. You know,
well, they had a really good idea.
I hope that they bang it out of the park and eventually get a show. It'd be better than Finding Nothing, you know, that show that they don't find anything, or Ghost Time or whatever, where he takes his shirt off and runs around, whatever it's called, you know. I would say this. The cream rises to the top. The whole time we were being bashed on another particular show's Halloween special, and they had 82 people. You had 82 people, and they're watching you bash me.
On Halloween.
On Halloween, you have nothing better to do but implode in front of everybody, and it is now the deranged lunatic Josh Turner talk time. That's what it's become. And if you want to be a part of that, then go jump in there. Go on, get in there and be a part of that. What's going on over there? It's great fun. It's a great time. I don't know how they can look at themselves and think, hey, we're doing a good job. You're doing a good job of making an ass of yourself. That's what you're doing. I can tell you this, folks. We have a great show lined up, and I am so happy to be here and still doing what I love. You know, when we were talking about throwing in the towel, at least for the show, so we could focus on what we had to do, I knew eventually that we could get it done and that we could, you know, get things settled down. But no sooner than the smoke clears for a little bit and someone else has to pop up and do something mean and nasty. And then they instead of taking personal responsibility, they double down. I have to tell you this, folks, because if I didn't tell you this, I would not be doing my job as your host. If you are a believer, and I say this with all sincerity, if you're a believer in Bigfoot or Dogman or Ghost or a UFO or alien, whatever you're a believer in, if you believe that the world is anything other than the mundane, whatever, do yourself a favor. Don't go to this particular group. I'm not going to say it on there. Go look at it. It's on my Facebook. Go take a look. Okay? I've made a post about it. I'm not going to bring it to the show. I'm sure he's probably, you know, whatever, he's been spinning out all day. Nellie went in there to that group, not to start trouble. She had no idea what it was. She didn't ask me. See, honey, you got to throw it by me. See, honey, I love you, and I don't want people doing things like that. They went into that group. She went into that group by an invitation by a friend of ours who's dealing with the vulture of nightmares. And so she goes in there not knowing what it was. And she said something about her encounters. Big mistake. I don't go in that group. I don't go in that group because that would be like walking into an enemy camp and saying, hey, I'm a Roman soldier. Hey, Celts, how you doing? You want to hang out? It's a Saturnalia, right? You know? So you guys are above me right now. No, you don't do that. That's not what happens. She went in there. Slim Jimmy, let me give you, what does he say here? Can you read that?
It says, hello, PRT fam. I've been thinking about the black goo ever since the Halloween show. Did anyone else notice the similarities between the black goo and the symbiote from the Spider-Man universe, or was it just me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, every time we hear a story like that, we're like, dude, what is this? So do yourself a favor. When the show's over, just run to my Facebook. If you want to look, take a look. And the guy just completely spun out because he helped his friend be snarky and rude and mean to my wife. And then he's also making a false narrative that he didn't know who we were. He sent Tony a message when we were dealing with the problems with Ike and you know, whatever, guy from the swamp and all that. And so he knew who we were. He knows exactly who I am. In fact, in the message, he tells Tony, he says, you and your uncle have our differences. They're referring to me. Now, we don't have differences. It's not about differences, dude. We're two completely different people. I don't create a group that's set up to trap people into being made fun of and teased because they believe in something that I don't. I could make a group based on your group and do the same thing to your people. They stumble in there thinking that they're going to be able to be snarky and attack people and be rude and nasty and mean. I thought about this hard today. I was thinking, what should I do about this? Because I tried addressing the guy, messaged him. I tried. You could. The screenshots are all there. They're all. I got them all. I read them out. On a live, or the episode before this too. I did a little live video, not an episode. What do you call it? A PSA, whatever. Public service, public safety, whatever you want to call it, announcement. I read the screenshots of everything that was said. He tried to post some to build his case, to take it out of context. It's not what happened. If you attack my wife or my nephews, I'm gonna retaliate. I'm not gonna sit back and let you tee off on them and do what you think you're gonna do. It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna accuse us of anything like they accuse us with these felonies, and then they saying all this stuff about our businesses and how we run them, and you don't know anything about us. Not this guy, but Oklahoma. This guy. I took a nap. I woke up. He was still going. Like he's just spinning out like a top. And you say you're a critical thinker. You don't sound like a critical thinker. You sound like a madman. I mean, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you sound like one when you do things like that because you attacked Nellie. And everybody in this community should know Nellie's not she does not a stirrer. She doesn't mess with people. It's you could believe I would do it, but you wouldn't believe that because she doesn't go around doing that. She's not a confrontational person. She went in there, and it made me sad. It really did. It made me sad because she went into that group thinking, hey, these people are friendly. I can go to a group, and, she was kind of, how do you say it, gun shy? She didn't want to go in any groups or do anything. She thought that she was amongst friends. She went into this critical thinking. I'm not going to say the whole name because I'm not going to give them that. You can go and look at it on the Facebook. And it makes me mad because she walked in there thinking that it was just a normal group, and tried to be nice and told her experiences. Got attacked. One guy, really nasty guy, and he thinks he's being cute by typing in Spanish. I thought it was somebody that was just trying to say, something in Spanish. But he is actually Hispanic. But, that's real cute to attack my wife like that. No llores. Yeah, and now, your buddy, what's going on with that? No llores. That's all I can say to him. What goes around comes around. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. See, that's what people don't understand is you think that we're vulnerable right now so you can tee off and say things. I'm not going to allow that. That's not going to happen. So she went into that group and she talked about her experiences and they tore her up. And laughed at her, laughy emojis. And then he's like, oh, come on. We're just laughing at you with emojis. What's the big deal? The big deal is anybody that does that in our group, you put laughy emojis at someone's experiences, whether you believe them or agree with them or not, you can scroll on. There's a million things posted on there, on their group and ours. Ours has 9,000, theirs has 10,000. It's pretty close in size. We don't allow bullying in our group, but apparently in their group, bullying seems to be the order of the day. Go back and look at some of the posts. It's pretty bad. I'm not into that. I don't want to be a part of that. I knew better, and I told Nellie, I said, honey, that's not the group for us. That's not the group for people like Paranormal Roundtable or Hellbenders or Bettina's people. Folks, if you're into Blondes and Booze or any of these other groups, or any of these other Facebook or YouTube channels, stay away from that group, okay? Let them be what they're going to be. But apparently their leader, he came over there to my Facebook page and was at it for, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah.
Just spinning out, calling me a liar and every cuss word in the book. He completely melted down, completely lost his cool. And committed libel upon libel upon libel. I didn't say anything bad to this guy. I just told him, and I didn't even cuss him back out. He cussed me out, completely cussed me out. And all I did was just tell him, look, dude, I asked a simple question if it was a misunderstanding or what's going on here. Why did you do this? I thought we were on the same page, at least for now. Apparently not. Some things never change. I'm going to say this too, and then we're going to start talking about a story I got to tell you. Don't believe this saying the enemy of your enemy is your friend. That is not true. A lot of times the enemy of your enemy is just an enemy. That's all they are. Because your enemies, a lot of times, if you're on the righteous path, or not even righteous, let's just say you're on the correct path, okay, then your enemies are going to be, they're not good, right? And so they're going to have a lot of other enemies. So don't make the mistake of thinking just because this other group doesn't like them either, that you can make some kind of deal with them and be their friend. Okay? That's my situation. And so I don't make that mistake of thinking that, hey, we're going to make some kind of an alliance with him, because we're not. And it was nailed home to me loud and clear. I got the message. I got the memo. Okay, you don't like us, whatever. I get it. The vitriolic hatred that came out of this guy. The feigned ignorance at first, and then acting like you didn't know who I was. Oh, you know who I am. Come on. Who doesn't at this point? I don't discourage you to continue in your fight against my enemies, but we're not friends, and we're not compatible. You can go your way and go and be all you can be, but I'm not going to be a part of that. Okay? We don't need to interact, and really and truly, as long as Mr. S will take himself off of our Facebook, will peel himself off of it, we'll let you go your way. But you got a heavy dose of what works for us. We protect our pack. You don't walk into my house and take a big dump and then go, oh, look at this, and expect everybody to be okay with that. Okay? A lot of people went at this person because he showed up at my Facebook. Now, if I was in his group acting a fool, I'd expect to get pounced on by your tigers too. Happy Friday night, PRT fam. Thank you, Tyler. How you doing? Good to see you all. Good to see you guys. Hollister, Sugar Britches, of course, one of the best. She's a legend. Trust Jesus is in here. Rogue status. Aussie Sue. Aussie, I saw you when they were talking about my book on
Earth Files.
Yeah. And what was the day? Was it Wednesday?
I think it was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday. It was the day night after Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting down to dinner, and somebody says, hey, we had a friend with us, and he was all watching it and everything, and he was in the middle of reading my book too. He was like in the middle of reading it, literally. Works for us. So we went to dinner before work, and before we gave him a ride. Larry Fisher, I'm not going to say his name on here because I don't want to give any more credence to this. Just go look at my Facebook, brother. You can go look and see who he is. It'll tell you. The things I've been saying about these people, though, these other people, not this guy that decided to insert himself today, but these other people, it's all true. I mean, it's correct. I've been proving it day after day after day. They're not firing back because there's nothing else to say. At this point, they can just keep repeating the same phrases. You're a towel. And then I'm like, no, you definitely are a towel. No, you're a towel. And then I just tell them, no, you're a towel. I can literally fold you, dry you, use you to dry water off my body after I shower. You're a towel. I'm like, no, I'm not. Okay? This isn't South Park. You're the towel. And then they just keep doubling down and saying stuff and nasty, mean stuff. Where are our moderators at? Besides Cluffy and everybody, get Scorpion D in there. Was he at the house? Yeah. We've had to beef up security. We've had to actually put one of our guards at our house. And we have another guy that comes and drives through every 30 minutes to an hour. Like, this is ridiculous. So I'm on high alert, you know. So when somebody goes and says some nasty things to us in a group, well, not me, but my wife, you don't think I'm going to be ready? You might have caught me sleeping 2 months ago, or maybe even 2 months from now, but not right now. This is the worst time to do it. The wagons are circled. The wagons are circled, Mr. S. Don't mess with me. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. Go back to your business of trolling and doing whatever it is you do in that group. You don't believe in anything, folks. I'm going to tell you why I believe in stuff. I was having dinner with Eric Palacios from Media Palace yesterday. Really interesting conversation. This is going to be an interesting story. We're going to get started here. One of the things that we talked about with Eric was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre story. We've talked about this before. What does he say? Lockbeard says, I am the most logical scientific person in this community, and I got into it with the coalition because they will not listen to logic and seem to just be about ejecting everything no matter what. Rejecting everything. That's the problem. That's why I don't go over there. I don't mess with them. You know, I just would encourage anybody who believes in anything or has any kind of has ever had an experience, just avoid them. Go away. Just don't do it, man. Don't do it because they're going to eat you alive. And he tried to bring that trouble to my Facebook page, and it didn't work out too good for him. He was not well received. But it is what it is. I wish Mr. I almost said his name. Well, Mr. Strudel, I wish you the best, Mr. Strudel. I hope that you get that, that you make it onto the market shelf where everybody can see what you're made of. Is that the dream of all strudels?
I guess so. And for what it's worth, strudels are a lot better than Pop-Tarts. So, you know, he's got that going. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a Pop-Tart. I'd rather be a strudel. Pop-Tarts, strudels are so much better.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
See, he could have just been a delicious pastry. Instead, he decided to make himself into a smorgasbord of whatever. Point is, folks, and we don't laugh. We're not going to laugh at his frustration because that's just putting us on that same level. He's been laughing at people's frustrations for years and mistreating people for years, and now he got exposed. I truly believe that all these people that are being exposed right now, yeah, exactly, Gil Sanchez, there you go, former law enforcement, had his own encounter. Waste of time with groups like that, exactly. Trust in Jesus says, hi, Barton, great show. Oh, yes, Barton Nunley was on Blondes and Booze earlier, okay, one of the best in this field. And I will say this about Barton, I consider him probably my best friend in this field. One of the things that sparked that whole thing, I'll say this and then I'll shut up and go on with the story, but was that she used the term inhumanoids. And this one guy got on there and he says, the only person I've ever heard say that was Barton Nunley. And my wife says, yeah, I consider him a very dear friend. And she went on to say, you know, that it's all there on my Facebook. And he didn't do himself any favors, though, by posting the screenshots of the conversation.
Yeah, because all it does is just show, like, okay, in any group there's going to be disagreements between people. That's just a given. As an admin of that group, it's your responsibility to mediate between those two people and be fair about it. But by the very screenshots that he posted, all it shows is like him just addressing one party and telling Nelly, "Oh, come on, whatever." And then not saying anything to the other person. I guarantee you, if that other person, like if someone posted something and he agreed with it and they received the same treatment Nelly received, then he'd be taking a stand. Then he'd have something to say, you know. But it's
funny because
you just want to be treated fairly. That's it.
Ken Mullins said something, or Sebastian Mullins said something like, he's like, "Well, I don't even know who you are." He's talking about Nelly, and Sebastian was like, "Well, now you do." You know, and don't lie, Mr. Strudel. You knew who I was. You definitely knew who I was. I knew who you were. You knew who I was. Stop pretending like we didn't know each other. I've never said a word about this guy. Have I ever said anything about this guy? I don't even care. He's not even on my radar. I avoid your group like the plague. The red plague, the black plague, the green plague, the blue, whatever kind of plague, every kind of plague on the earth, the blue plague, whatever, purple. I just avoid it because I know that it's nothing but trouble. And over here at PRT, we're ready for trouble if it comes our way. We don't want to start it. We don't want to go and mess with these miscreants, but we're not going to allow them to push and punch and bully us around. And this is just another bully situation that's not going to be allowed to fly. It's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. So, you know, we are a community here within a community, and we're also brothers and sisters. We should treat each other with respect. There's people that tell me things sometimes, and I'm like, I don't really believe that. Respectfully, you know, I'm not going to just believe everything that comes along. Ken Gerhard was on the show, and he said something about a person that saw a playing card walking down the road or something like that, you know. That's a hard one to take. And of course, he kind of laughed about it, and we you know, it's one of those unbelievable things. Somebody gave him that story. Well, now it's taken out of context. When you put it into context, it's still hard to believe. So you're not going to hear me going around to conferences and saying, let me tell you a story about a guy that saw a playing card moving around by itself. That's not me. I'm not going to do that because I don't believe it. But that doesn't mean that person doesn't believe. You could give that person a lie detector test and they may believe it. It may be something that they believe happened. I'm not going to take down and mess with these people. Who am I to tell people what they saw, what they didn't see? Linda Godfrey, she wrote a book. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. See, that's the thing. I have no choice but to believe, folks, because what happened to me 15 years ago. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to wrap it all together. When I was a child, right here in Round Rock, it's to the southeast of where I'm at right now. Or northeast, sorry. Tony pops his head up. I know, northeast. I played inside of that house, inside of the house that was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was filmed in that house. My dad had a friend that had that house, and my dad actually had a bad dream in that house. And I wasn't there with him when it happened. But he had a bad dream in that house. And one of the things that I remember, he said that he thought that a guy with a chainsaw was going to pop out. And the funny thing is, my mom and my dad, when I was a kid, my dad very briefly, because he usually worked in the cotton gin, until he got a job at the power plant, until he became an engineer. He used to work at UT. My grandfather had a janitorial. He had retired from being a truck driver for like 25 years. He had a janitorial thing for a while. And one of the things they did, they had a contract with UT. So him and my grandmother would go over there and they'd work. They'd go in about, 11 o'clock. And they'd get out at like 5 or 6 in the morning cleaning all these different offices. And they needed more people. So they hired my dad temporarily. My dad could never work with my grandfather. They didn't get along. And my mother worked with them. And they got to meet Tobe Hooper. They got to meet, all the actors that played in that movie, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one. They got to mess with the chainsaw. So that was a weird thing, right? So yesterday I eat dinner with Eric Palazzo's great guy, Media Palace. We're going to be doing a couple projects together. And we were hashing it out yesterday, how we were going to do it and what we were going to do and how it was going to work out. And his aunt owned that house at one time. And they had a weird experience there. I'll get to that in a minute. So last night, about 1:30 my time, which would have been 2:30 his time, Christopher Garitano, a great friend of mine, one of the best in this field, filmmaker extraordinaire, great guy. He's done Strange World, Montauk Chronicles, Dark Files, and now he's got A Haunting We Will Go. He does Off to the Witch, his podcast. Another thing, he just wrote the book, South Texas Blues, and that book, get this, is about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Weird connections, right? He's good friends with all the actors. He's good friends with all the people that made the film, everything, blah, blah, blah. Met them all, knows them all, just like my parents did. But my dad actually had friends with the guy that owned that house, and he slept in the house. When I was a kid, we slept there. My dad and mom always told this story that I woke up screaming. And I was like all of 2 or 3 years old, and they were like, do you remember that? And I'm like, no. I remember a lot of things as a child, but I don't remember that. The only memory I have of that house is like pushing a big truck and then falling and hitting my knee because I was playing with a big truck with their kids because I was a toddler, And so I fall, hit my knee, and I remember crying about it. And they reminded me that, that was in the Chainsaw Massacre house. That's the house. And I have been to the store, out the other side of Bastrop where, that's Joe Breezy's territory. I don't know if you're in the chat, Breezy. But, yeah, he works out there. So at the conference, the big satanic ceremony that we supposedly had with all the drugs and the booze and the.
Oh yeah, where me and Tony were on video passing out drugs, and where you were possessed.
I was possessed by the devil.
Yeah, where you were possessed by the devil, running around saying, "I'm not clean, don't touch me" or something. And then, on video.
Yeah.
And where me
video.
And where me and Tony were passing out a bunch of drugs.
Yeah, and also on video, I turned into an actual werewolf And I heard I choked a person too there. That was another funny twist. They said that I choked a guy. They said it was Steve, and I was like, Steve's a big guy. I mean, that'd be funny if me and him were fighting. You'd see a big old two rhinos going at it, fighting each other. Pretty crazy, man. The stuff that was being said, was being thrown out, was amazing. They should be fiction writers. They could do what Potato Head does over there in Missouri. They could be writing better books than him. Man, oh my gosh. So the whole stories, the whole thing just went out of, it just went nuts, went out of into left field. What I'm going to tell you though, going back to this, now he wrote the book South Texas Blues, and Garetano was there for this Black Mass or whatever it was that it scandal, whatever it was that DW's or a fake magazine article said it was. We're going to do another one. We're going to do 3. You got to have 3. I figured, you know what? We might as well do 3. We talked about it, right, Anthony, Tony?
Yeah.
And we were like, we got to do 3. If we do 3, we can stop. After 3, we can stop. But you did it back to back. But let's do it 3-peat. Let's do it 3 times. I'll put my fourth finger up right there. See? I don't know. 3 times so that we can show everybody we're for real. Okay, we're not just for real once, not just for real twice, but just for real. We're 3 times for real, folks. I've had this knuckle and finger broken, and it's depressed. If you see it, you see how it's depressed right there. It's a boxer's fracture, so I can't really make 3. It's very difficult for my hands. I can't. That's why it looks weird. They'll be calling me some kind of monster or something.
You got to make it the weird way, like when people make it like that.
Go
3
German.
Like this.
That's German, yeah.
I can do that. But I can't fold these fingers all the way. I can tell you this, having talked to Eric, great guy, like I said, and and just wonderful dude to talk to and hang out with, smart. Go check out his show, his movie he did, The Beast of Brushy Creek. He's waiting for the other one to be released. It's already done. Guy's got an amazing voice. He very much mirrors Chris Garetano.
Yeah.
They're very much alike. And I will say this. Okay. Garetano and me had a conversation last night, and it was so funny because he had texted me, and we ended up texting back and forth. He couldn't. He was just wide up. He drank 4 cups of coffee. Like me, I'm gonna drink mine right now. But he drank 4 cups of coffee, and I said, "Oh, that's why you're up." And he says, "Well, I'm Italian. I'm gonna be up drinking." And he's like, "To me, this is just breakfast, you know." So we were talking, and so I called him. I said, "Hey, we're over here texting back and forth. We're like teenagers. We might as well just talk like men, you know." So we got on the phone. We started talking, and we talked about everything under the sun. So I felt privileged to have been able to have dinner with Eric, and then sit there and talk to Garetano for like 2 hours. Both amazing guys in the media doing. I would say Garetano is one of the best filmmakers. Palacios, investigative journalism, very professional, very smart guy. So we had a conversation last night, and it turned into the Chainsaw Massacre thing. Well, let me tell you something. Garetano has all this information about that, right? So he puts it into a book. It's written kind of like a screenplay. And I can't wait because he's going to send me a couple autographed copies of it. And I'm going to hey, Letitia, how you doing, sweetheart? How you doing? Brett, everybody, King of Hecomundo, he's always the first one when I do it. Like your notifications are on point. Bam, you're there. Spilling tea, how you doing? Cluffy, Holly. Sugar Britches, come on, what are you doing? You already do too much for us. Spoiling us.
You're the best.
Sorry about that. I got to move this stuff out of the way, folks. So, thank you for that donation, too. What's the name on there? Anna? I'm trying to convince myself I don't need to wear my glasses. 2 Shadows and Anna...
Al-Jabari.
Al-Jabari. Okay.
Or maybe it's Al-Yabari. I don't know.
Oh, Al-Habari. Thank you for that
Al-Habari.
donation. Thank you so much for that. Too kind. I'm going to tell you this. Eric's family, and this is where the story part comes in. Eric's family woke up outside of that house one night. Woke up outside. The whole family. And I thought, wow, that is an amazingly weird story. Right there by the La Frontera. Now it's La Frontera. We had a weird experience. I remember when we were working Garden Ridge.
Yeah.
I was researching something about Hecate.
and I'll get to that in a minute. So we're over there, and we're in that area, and I was talking about it when we were there the other day. Me, you, and Anthony and Nellie were all there, and I said it's weird because my jeweler has a spot right there, at one of them anyway, right there at the La Frontera shopping center where it's at now, which is pretty much ground zero for where that house once was, before the developers got into there and developed it.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of business over there. I can tell you this. Somebody, I guess, after we talked about it on the show, right? Or was it a coincidence? I think we talked about it with Eric on the show about his family waking up outside.
Maybe.
Pretty sure we did. But anyway, this person didn't say that that's why they gave me this story, but there was a story that they gave me, and this guy says he heard us talking. I know because me and Garitano talked about it too. This was a person who was at the conference, and they told me, they said, I have a weird story to tell you. I will email you. Because there was so much going on at the conference, I couldn't talk to him. And it was toward the end of the Sunday, and he had missed most of the conference, and he came in. He goes, I just came in. I'm a truck driver, and I wanted to say hi and whatever and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I got a really crazy story to tell you that happened to me in Round Rock when I was young. This guy's like 60 years old now. He said, when I was young, when I was like in my late teens, he's like, I think I was 19, but I might have been 20. So you're talking like 40 years ago. And I think it was, trying to remember what year he said it was. I can't remember exactly what year it was, like 82 or something like that. Early 80s, he said. But it was over 40 years ago, so it might have even been late 70s, early 80s. He said, my truck broke down. He had an old Ford, sorry. Broke down. Said never broke down before, and it broke down there. Radiator went out, overheating, just unexpected. He says, so I get out. There's no cell phones back then. You got to find a payphone. There was nothing around there. He said, I was probably about a half a mile from that house, from the Chainsaw Massacre house, because you used to sit up on a hill, you could see it. And he says, I began walking and hot-footing it. He said, dude, I became dizzy and sweaty and disoriented, and get this. He goes, this was like in December. Now, December in Texas can be freezing cold, but it can also just be kind of, temperate. Just depends. He said, and that night, he goes, it was in the low 60s. There was no reason for me to be freezing like that. The north wind was blowing through, wind chill factor maybe 10 degrees less, something like that. And he said, I was walking. He's like, and he goes, and I remember it was like middle of December. He's like, and I was absolutely, like, there was no reason for me to be feeling the way I was. He said, my heart was pounding. I don't know why. He's like, I was anxious, but not, back then, not everybody had anxiety like we do now.
Yeah.
The modern way we live really lends to a lot of anxiety. What happened to him was pretty incredible. He looks up and he sees this thing, like he calls it, like a ball of light. And it was just bouncing around near the trees. Then it goes up, 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 up into the sky. And what it did right now is it expanded into like a blob, and this is what his words, a blob type thing that became a triangle, and then it shot up into the sky. Then he hears a poof, like a bang, like a sonic boom, like it was like if it were to be a jet or something, And he said something to me that I thought was interesting. He's like, he said, dude, and I made this analogy. I was like, have you ever seen the cartoon Transformers? He said it a couple times. It's before, that was different era for him. And I said, the Seekers, the jets, there was Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. They were the original three.
Yeah.
They were on Earth, right? But the Cybertron ones, they look like triangles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent him a shot of that, and I said, did it look anything like that? And he said, kind of, yeah, because of the way that he was describing it to me. And he said, but it was bright white light with blue, like a blue tint to it. And it went straight up into the sky. He goes, and then I hear this sonic boom, and then I look behind me, and I see this thing hovering behind me. And he said, it's probably about 1,000 foot up. That's not even that far up, really. And he said it was just hovering there. He goes, and then it just did this zigzag thing and then went straight up again and then shot across the sky. Here's what's weird. His vehicle breaks down. He tells me it was around 10 o'clock, 10:30, right? He's like, I had a watch. I look at my watch. It's 3:33 a.m. He's like, I had not walked a half a mile. Pretty bizarre. Pretty bizarre. So I asked him this question. I said, let me ask you a question. I was like, do you think you were abducted? And he says, I don't know. He says, I guess I got to be. I said, you don't have to be. I say, there's no rules that says you have to have been abducted. I don't know what that is. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what happened. It's hard to fathom, what's going on with this guy's story. But I tell you this, the close proximity to that house makes me pause and wonder. You got Eric's family who wake up outside. Then you got this guy who sees a UFO in that area. Weird stuff. Very weird stuff. And I'm also going to be doing an investigation because one of the managers, shout out to Dylan at Freitas, good guy. While we were eating dinner with Eric last night, he came out and talked to us and started talking about Waterloo Ice House. And I don't know if I should have probably said the name, but I'm just going to say this. It's a restaurant right there off of 620. It's actually got decent food. Go check it out. I haven't been there in a long time. I don't even remember much about it, but there was a story that we told about a Dogman type creature, like a Dogman type creature that was like right there at that intersection of 2222 and 360. Now, that somebody heard us talking about that area and they said, I got a story. They pulled into the parking lot, what is now the Waterloo Ice House. It was like 2019. They pulled in and I don't know what they were going to do. I don't know what they were doing. I didn't ask. But they were checking something. I don't know what it was. And there were two guys and a girl. And one of the guys gets out. There was a guy and his girlfriend, or his guy that was driving and his best friend's girlfriend. That's the story. They get out. They hear giggling and laughing like children. Mm-hmm. And they look at the restaurant and they see two little kids. In particular, one they could see very clearly. There was another one kind of moving around. And they look and they see people or children, whatever, playing it's like a playground or something behind there. I don't know. I don't remember. I've been there one time, I think. And he said we saw children playing in the back of it. And so I thought that was odd. I was like, that's a weird story, because it was like 2 a.m. The restaurant was closed for hours. Nobody was in there. And so he goes, I knew it was children. I had to go and look. So they all kind of got the courage to get out of the car. And the woman, the girl, she had, mothering instincts kind of kicked in. And she's like, what are these children doing out here? I mean, and this place is like, if you know where it's at, that little strip right there. Mm-hmm. And then across from there, or kind of down the road and across from there is what? The County Line barbecue joint?
Yeah.
Really cool place. Go check them out. And they have turtles. That river behind there, you can feed them, and they're huge, and then some of them are small, and they're really cute. They have a whole thing back there behind the county line. I used to take my wife there just because she liked to go feed the turtles and the ducks behind the place. And so that's all that's there. Everything else is just like if you get it's after close, or you're just out there with the Bigfoots and the Dogmans and the crickets and whatever, the coyotes. And they're like, these children are out here playing, and as they walk toward the children, guess what? They disappeared. Poof, gone. We got a lot of stories from Halloween, which I went over with Anthony and Tony, and we looked at them, and we said, you know what? These are some great stories. I want to thank Chet. You sent us a really amazing story, along with Chase. You two really sent some pretty crazy stories. And Dimitri, you sent me a crazy story. Those three people will be telling your stories on Sunday. And it was those three in particular, all about something that happened on Halloween. And I thought, wow, because it was Halloween, that's why we're going to do that. Now, if you've sent me a story, don't feel bad. I'm not jumping ahead. I just thought it appropriate because it was Halloween that we tell some of the weird things that went on to people for Halloween. So remember those names: Chet, Dimitri, and Chase. Yes, I almost thought it was Chris. That's somebody else. That's Chris James. That's an author, good friend of mine. So anyway, yeah, we're going to be telling those stories. So here's what's going to happen tonight. We're going to bring our guest on. It's time to get him on here. He's probably been waiting, and we're going to let him tell it. Hope everybody had a great Halloween. Somebody messaged me the other day and they go, I don't celebrate Halloween. I like your show. I don't celebrate Halloween. I said, well, don't celebrate Halloween. You don't have to. I don't run around celebrating it. I don't go out dressed up or do whatever. I don't trick or treat. I quit doing that like a couple weeks ago. So what we do, we just entertain. So let me get this person on here. There we go. Okay, hold on. Well, you know what? We may have to do this on a different day. Just got a message from him. I got to message this person, folks. We got so many people that want to give their stories. It's crazy. But don't stop sending them, folks. Believe me, we every story is important. Everybody's encounter is important. See, we don't attack people for their encounters. Far from it. So we got to wait because he's not done. He's doing something right now.
Okay.
He's like most people. He has a job. I know that it's nice for the Filthy Five. They don't work. They don't have to do any work. Wouldn't it be nice not to have to work?
For a
For
time.
a while. Yeah.
Then eventually you just end up devolving mentally
Why would you
and physically.
devolve? Think about it. If you didn't have to work and do all the things that we have to do, think about how much time and energy we could devote to doing the show. I mean, how much better we could do. Like all the
Well, I guess I'm talking
projects.
about like just
Oh, if you didn't have any responsibility.
like not doing anything, not having a job, just kind of laying around and sleeping and eating and going back to sleep and eating some more.
That's. You want to flip this here? That's.
What is it?
Hold on 1 second, folks. I'm not able to see it. Oh, there it goes. I didn't want to push something I didn't know. Anthony's got his little way of doing things, and we don't dare mess with that, right, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I know what I'm
Attack
doing.
the beaten, but the wet noodle. Oh, man. Anunnaki Bro says making fake accounts all day. Yeah. You'd have a lot of time to do that. You'd have time to do all kinds of fakery and hoaxery. That's what a lot of this boils down to, is they just have too much time on their hands and they just fake and,
Oh, that's what happens when you don't work. Stagnation leads to degeneracy.
Well, you got the people on the other side that just make you not want to participate in anything.
What was this saying? An idle mind is a devil's playground.
Yeah, Devil's Workshop. So while we wait for him to get his things together, I'm going to tell you this. Yeah, I know, Chris. I saw that. Thank you for everybody who's donated. We appreciate that. And I guess we'll tell another story. Should we tell the Alaskan one? Or?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to upset the apple cart. I take an apple off, and if something moves, Anthony attacks me viciously, throws hot coffee on me.
Well, just do it right, and you won't get attacked.
Look, boy, when do I not do it right?
Whenever I attack you.
Does that make any sense to you, Tony, at all? Like, what is he talking about?
Like all I know is
You just accuse me of attacking you when you don't do something right.
I'm
that-
just
you
a
just
good
answered your
little
own
Christian
question.
boy.
You don't realize
That's when I attack you, when
forehead
you
looks
don't do
massive
something
right
right.
now on there.
Okay? It's I need a massive forehead to house this massive brain.
Because it doesn't look like that off camera, because it looks like a little peanut with hair. But when I look at you on camera, I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's forehead looks huge.
It's because I'm too tall and you can't see my hair. It's like cut off by the
Well, lower
shot.
the
So
chair
all you
some.
this is as low as the chair goes.
Oh, well, back up. You're scaring people. People have children, dude. Come on, goodness gracious.
I wonder if this is like 4 or 5. Yeah, it's forehead. Okay.
It's a 4 or 5.
Thank God it's not a 5 head.
You remember
It's just 4 fingers.
Zane's friend, the one that he liked?
What is
I don't want to embarrass him, but if he's watching, Zane, you know we care about you. But he had that girl that he liked, and she admitted she had a 5 head.
Oh.
Don't say her name, 'cause it's
no,
embarrassing,
no. That got me- she was nice.
She was a nice person, but she was like, I have a 5 head.
Yeah,
So-
she said it, not us.
Yeah. But, you know, and Shane was all like, no, she doesn't. I'm like, when you like someone, you don't see any of their flaws. Like, my wife loves me. So she's always like, honey, you're so gorgeous and you look, you know, like a model. And I'm like, really? And then I go out in public with the skinny jeans and a shirt two sizes too small. And you know what they do? They ask me to leave. Okay, honey, stop lying to me. All right. Like Laura Clough, Tony, all like, Laura knows she's got one of those beautiful male models, those big, beautiful men, like, you know, Cluffy. She's got me and Cluffy are in the beautiful men's club. We're beautiful. We got hair. We're tall.
Beards.
We got Dunlop bellies. You know how it goes. I'm muscular and big and everything, but then I got a belly. Everybody knows that. I'm not like I'm hiding. They're like, oh, look at his video off of the conference. Please do. Go rent it. It's Christopher Jordan's got it. He's a guy. He's big in the UFO community. He's a really nice guy. Curious Rome. Go check him out. Let's take a minute here to shout out to all of our affiliates too. Blondes and Booze. Obviously, Barton Nunley was on there. And Humanoids with Barton Nunley. Go check out his Halloween special. I really was into that. They're just kind of talking around a fire. It's a really cool situation there. Go check it out and listen to what he's talking about. And then there was something that weird that happened in a video that they made subsequently right after that on Halloween night. Hellbent Holler, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, they did an amazing job, okay? Don't be surprised to see them somewhere make with their own show. I'm talking, they got their own show, but I mean like getting paid, okay? Because what they do is way better than Finding Nothing or you know, I don't know what you want to call it, Goofy Adventures. They did like Goofy Adventures and Finding Nothing together, but it was for real. Like, and they did a good job. Like, they put those two shows together, but make them not sleepy.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like robots on Ambien.
Well, and they have like a respectable image about them. Like they don't look like just like a bunch of like fat nacho cheese hot dog eating
Goofballs.
dudes who just got off of the couch from watching sports and just decided to go tromp around in the woods in t-shirts and blue jeans
Or the other guy who
and sneakers.
works out a lot and screams at demons.
Yeah, there's a bunch of frat
Oh, yeah,
boys
yeah.
and
Like, yo,
hoodlums.
bro, you want to go? Yo, I know you don't want to go. You were talking to me, bro? Come on, man. I'm going to beat you down.
Yeah, with the spiky
Plasma
hair.
hands.
Yeah, he doesn't throw holy water. He just throws beer.
Yeah.
You don't eat carbs, so it's got to be Michelob ultra light.
Take that White Claw.
Thanks. Oh my God. But that's what they do, right? But when you got people like Hellbent Hall who do a real good job. And then you got Bettina Moss, Crypto Normal Encounters, and you got BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and let's not forget Tex or Jason McLean. Those guys do a good job. They all do a good job. They're smaller channels, but they should be bigger than they are. And you got all these frauds over there pretending to be something that they're not, I'll tell you one of the Halloween stories since we're waiting, and I hate to burn it on this one, but I'll just have to throw another one in I'll find something. God, now I got to go back to the internet and intranets and look through my emails. Folks, this disturbs me greatly. I had them all lined up and ready to go. This one happened late Halloween night. Okay, so let me tell you a story. I'll tell Demetrius' story. Should we do that, or should we tell the Alaskan one? Probably the Alaskan one.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob.
The Alaskan bullworm. Okay, we'll do this one. So we'll keep the Halloween leftovers on Sunday. All right, so here we go. This story was given to us in southern Alaska. The guy works. I don't know. We have his permission to say his name's Keith, but we don't want to say Heath. Sorry. We don't want to say where he works or what he does because that's something that he did not give us permission to say. Now, I didn't even ask, actually, and I don't know if I should say the location, but it's far south of, it's in the south, let's say, and it's not around a major city, okay? What he does is something very unique. He works for a large company, but his job is very specific, and I really don't want to say it because then it's kind of controversial. But one day, let's put it this way, he was out doing his job, and Heath came across something that was not of this world. He thought maybe it was a Kodiak bear, but he was a long ways from Kodiak Island, so he thought this is not a Kodiak bear. They could swim. I mean, they can, but he thought maybe, but that's, a good ways away. And so he kept looking at it through the scope of his rifle, and he thought, there is no way that is a bear. He sees it walking, and it is literally 9 feet tall. And what he saw would scare the crap out of anybody, especially if you're out there by yourself. Now, there was another person that was there with him, his friend Michael, but Michael was like several hundred yards in the other direction doing his job. And there were 2-man to 3-man teams. And it was late fall, so it was starting to get really, really cold, and there was snow everywhere. And he sees this thing walking through, and he says, dude, it looked like, to me, a werewolf. And when he gave me the description of this creature, he said he had knew what a Dogman was. The reason he knew what a Dogman was is because he lived in Michigan. He said at one time that he lived in Michigan, and then his girlfriend lived in the Upper Peninsula years ago. And he said that he lived south of the Upper Peninsula. But he said, dude, I knew what a Dogman was. The area where I lived, people would talk about seeing weird things in the woods and stuff. And he has an experience that he gave me about his uncle. That's why I didn't want to get into this one because it's kind of long. The experience that he gave me about his uncle was very strange too. Not real long. It's not real long, and I'll tell you what about that one. Getting messages. Everything covered?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. So we'll start with what happened to him first, and then we'll go into what happened to his uncle. So he asked me if that may have made him predisposed to be able to see these things. Now, whether you believe they're flesh and blood, spiritual, or something in between, that's up to you. I'm not here to sell you on the idea one way or the other. All I'm doing is repeating what this person told me. This thing was on all fours, but it was way too tall. He could tell by the trees where he was at. He said, dude, I've been in that little valley right there. The trees, like you could see where it was at. One of the trees had branches that were broken, and they were still down, like several branches. Later on, he went down into that valley, and he looked, and he said, dude, this thing had to have been, when it stood up, it had to have been 8 to 9 feet tall. He said, I would say more closer to 9 foot. The head was massive, a massive head. And he's like, you couldn't tell where the neck began, and there was no human-like neck. It was like a wolf head, kind of like a mane down his back, and we've heard that a lot. And then he said that this thing had this is what was kind of weird. He said the arms and legs were kind of skinny. Mm-hmm. For the body. He said the torso was pretty round and very muscular. but it kind of looked like it had a belly, like a pot belly, but the arms and legs, he said that they didn't really fit the profile of the bodybuilder style or whatever. It said it looked kind of top heavy. The lower legs looked kind of more muscular than the upper legs. It just didn't look right. And then it would go down on all fours and walk. And he said that one of the things he noticed was when it would stand up, what looked like paws, he would see the phalanges like pop out, you know. Not his words, mine. But and I thought, he said, dude, you'd see the like what looked like fingers jutting out. But then it would go back down, and it was almost like, so I asked, I was like, you think it's curling its hands and walking on its knuckles? And he said, maybe. Weird stuff. So he says that this thing's walking along, and he keeps lowering his rifle, then lifting it back up and looking through the scope. And he's like, dude, it's so weird looking. And then at one point, it stops. Like it was moving in a certain trajectory. It stops and turns. It kind of looks both ways. He said, then I'm looking at it, and it turns, and he goes, and it looks right at me. And I'm thinking, I'm downwind. Can this thing see me? So the question for him was, and I told Heath, I don't know. I have no answer for that. It looks at him, and then it stands up, and then it kind of looks both ways, like, you know, like you're going to cross the street, and then it just starts walking up the hill towards him. And he's thinking, surely as far away as this thing is, there's no way that this thing saw me. He's like, there's no way. So he just keeps looking through the scope. I'm talking like several hundred to 1,000 yards away. It's a good distance.
Yeah.
So he's like, dude, he starts backing up, kind of backing out of there. He said as he backed up out of there, he kind of kept his eye on it, but then this thing began to move faster and faster, and then it was just running up the hill at a good clip. And it was a real gradual, progressively steeper hill. And but it's like a gradual, eventually it gets up pretty high, but it's like, you're running uphill the whole way. He's like, dude, I got out of there. He goes, I put my rifle around my shoulder and I took off. He's like, I was never so happy to get back to that vehicle. I'll tell you right now, when I talked to this guy, you could hear it in his voice. Like when he talks about it, there was fear in that voice, and he didn't really talk very well. And it's, I know why, because it was so terrifying for him. But it gets worse. It gets a lot worse. He gets into the vehicle. He gets started. He tries to take off. There's still a trail there where there's not a lot of snow, and all he had to do was go up a little small embankment, and then the truck starts spinning. And he can't go. And he said, dude, there's no way that they should have been stuck there. The tires were ready for the snow. There was no reason. It's a four-wheel drive. He's like, I start spinning. He goes, and this thing comes up over the hill, right behind me. This is 2015, I believe he said. It's like 15. He's like, dude, I turn around, I look back, and I see it standing there. He's like, and it looks way worse than it did when it was down in the hill. And then he's like, I know this is not a bear. There's no way in hell this is a bear. I don't know what this is, but it's not a bear. He's like, it looked like a werewolf. There's no other way to describe it. But he goes, there was so much meat on the shoulders and the neck. Mm-hmm. He said that what he thought was, and this is really weird, and I don't think I've heard this before, but he said the reason I thought it was like a hump and there was a mane and all that, he said what it looked like to me, it was wearing a bear skin, like a bear fur over its shoulder. And I said, you just because you thought that because of and he said, no. He stopped me. I didn't even, He says, I saw something flapping on the back of his neck. And it looked like a bear head. Like you could see like a snout, like the top of a bear's head or whatever. And he thought, that's a fur. So then I had to ask the question. I said, so maybe this was a mistaken identity. I said, it's a really large man that was wearing a bear skin, maybe a wolf skin and a bear skin? He says, no, absolutely not. He said this thing had like a lot of hair on the body, not fur. He said there was fur like down toward the abdomen, going down the legs, the back, and then you could see like a tail jutting out the back. He's like, I saw it kind of turn and got down on all fours and it kind of, moved around, and that's how he saw the thing flop over its head. A grizzly bear's skin, what looked like a fur. He said, having ran into grizzlies a few times, black bears, whatever, he said there's nothing out there that could kill that thing. Pack of wolves, bears, nothing. He's like, it walked up to the truck. He goes, and then I began to spin the tires again. And when it did, it stood up. Like, it wasn't completely, interested in hurting him, but he got the impression that if it could figure out a way to get in his vehicle, it would. And so he began praying, and he was just like, he said he was not religious. He was after that day. Wasn't religious before. But he's like, I'm sitting there and I'm praying. I'm like, God, please, Jesus, God, help me, get me out of here. Help me get out of here and get on this road and away from this thing. But not until it walked up to the side of his vehicle and it lifted its head and looked in. He said it was on all fours, and it was almost as tall as his truck where the window was. It could just turn its head and look right in. That's a big boy. And he said this thing looked like it wasn't about to play. And then the really scary thing, it lifts its hand, left hand to the door, and starts to pull on the door. And then it just kind of like lifted its hand up again and moved it over the window like it was trying to brush away the wetness on the window to get a better look at him. Yeah, Lockbeard, you're right. It is possible that Bigfoots wear animal skins. And I've heard of Bigfoot doing it. I have not heard of a Dogman doing this. That's why I don't know if this is what that is. I don't know what this was. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have the answers, because I don't. I don't have the answers. All I can tell you is what was told to us. When it looked inside the vehicle, and I asked him, I said, was there eyes? And he's like, I'm going to be real honest, I don't remember the eyes. He goes, I didn't make eye contact with it. And I thought about it, and I said, that's probably a good thing, because the legend is, the skinwalker, you're not supposed to make eye contact. That's the legend. I don't know if that's who knows? It's a legend, right? And so finally he says, dude, I finally get the truck. I back it up a little bit, and I kind of go over like a little hump. And then I go back, I go forward, and then it's like ba-boom, ba-boom, and I'm on the road. And I asked him the question. I said, Heath, why didn't you think of that before? I knew the answer already. He says, I couldn't think straight. I was terrified. I was scared of this creature. It's going to kill me. It's going to eat me. So he gets back to base camp, and he meets up with the guys that he's supposed to be working with. And he tells them about it. And one of them was just this guy Stan, he was just very like, oh, really? So you saw one? And he's like, this guy's like, a veteran, been out there for 10 years longer than him. He says, you've seen one? And he goes, yeah. He goes, that's why I don't take those jobs to go to that point where you were at. He goes, he's like, do you remember one night we were drinking? You remember I told you a story about me seeing a weird-looking creature that looked almost like a bear, but it wasn't? And he's like, you didn't listen to me. And now look what happened. See, folks, that's the thing. A lot of times people will tell you something and you don't take it into consideration because it doesn't fit your preconceived paradigm of what you believe reality is. And so Heath learned a very valuable lesson. When the older gentleman, Stan, who's about 20 years his senior, told him, there's something weird out there that looks like a bear, but it's not. Be very careful. I don't know what it is. It looks very dangerous. So then they start talking to another one of these guys. Thank you, Barry, for that donation. We really appreciate it. And when he starts talking to another one of these guys, the guy tells him, he's like, I've shot at one of these things. It was stalking a moose. He's like, and being a young guy, I didn't want to witness it kill this helpless moose calf. And the mother was trying to defend it. He goes, and I thought it was just a really weird, malformed wolf. And then I see it stand up and run toward the calf and just grab it, dude. And it was just horrible. He said, I shot at it. When I did, all it did was just kind of twitch its shoulder like that. I'm going to tell you this. It was a high-powered deer rifle that he shot it with. It did not do anything to this thing. It just twitched its shoulder. He didn't even see blood later on He followed these weird-looking tracks. And here's what's disturbing about that. This is a different guy. He followed the tracks, and this guy told him, he said, dude, I get to a point where they just disappear. Like wolf tracks. They were gradually expanding, like they were getting bigger. Doesn't make sense. The older tracks are the ones that where the snow melts, it should be getting bigger, but it was the opposite. It's very weird. He gets to a certain point, and they disappear. Like it just went up into space or something. How do you explain that? See, that's what people don't understand. When they're mocking and making fun and making these jokes and all this stuff, I read and talk to people and get their encounters all day. It's just what we do. So you're not going to convince me that every single person across this planet that's seeing these things are just, what are they doing? They eating mushrooms?
It's a global conspiracy that everyone just decides to tell the same lie.
Yeah,
All
you
at the
signed
same
up
time.
for it.
Yeah. And when you talk to this guy, I mean, he's not from Alaska, he's from Arkansas. And when you talk to him, you can tell he's from Arkansas. And he doesn't sound like a guy that's going to sit around making up creepypasta stories to fool me. So I don't believe that bullcrap about how these people are all just, I don't buy into that. I'm going to tell you right now, if it was me, I don't know what I would have done. So, any thoughts in the chat here? And I don't want to give away the rest of the stories because I gotta do those for Sunday. And really their experiences, people's encounters. But give me your thoughts on this thing, and I can tell you his uncle's encounter. We start too late on Friday. Apparently, everybody goes to bed early on Friday. I thought you start later on Friday.
Did you got off work?
Yeah, you
People
don't
stayed
have
up
to
a little.
work. I mean, it's
yeah.
like it's all good. But then apparently, people are like, "Oh no, I got to go to bed. It's Friday." Is that what everybody does? They go to bed early on Friday? I don't go to bed early on Friday.
Instead of like getting your kids to bed at a good time and taking care of your responsibilities, you should shirk all that and just be here for as long as we're here. You
don't
need to get
say
your
that.
priorities
you
straight.
make it sound like
okay?
we're keeping them out late or something. We're the bad influence here. No, we're not.
We're
We're
more
not the
important than
bad
everything else in your
influence.
life. Don't you know that?
All we're
Okay.
saying is.
Well, apparently we're a cult now. I was called a cult.
Yeah, and you're
on
not being
this.
very good cult
what I'm
members if
saying.
you don't stay up
Yeah.
all night with us and just drop everything else in your life and say, okay, I know you're hungry, baby girl. I know you're hungry, baby boy. But mommy and daddy got to watch PRT. So just be there and be quiet.
First tenet of PRT is you can't leave PRT. So
Yeah.
the first.
Yeah. You do not talk about PRT.
Nobody talks about PRT.
Second rule of PRT, you do not talk about PRT.
What is Earth Files? Earth Files UK. What superstition, one that is 1,000 years old, could survive to the present day if they were not a germ of truth somewhere? Exactly. That's what I say. Now, let's read some of the comments here. Let's see what we got. The cult of the pretty righteous time. Yeah, that's what we are. Apparently, we're some kind of cult. Yeah, two shadows. I agree with that. Read his statement there, Anthony. He says, "I camp with it." I kind of lost it there. Dang it! If you go up a little bit, it's right there.
Let me find it.
I camp with the 458 SOCOM. I don't think I'd fire on something like that. That's a lot of what ifs.
And D, my brother says, "What other advice would you expect from the guy passing out drugs at the conference?"
Yeah.
Hey, man, stop telling our secrets, man. That's why everybody was having such a good time. They were all hopped up on goofballs.
Well,
should
have
been
you
there.
know?
Well,
we
see
had-
that explains it. Like they were upset that they
down,
weren't there
uppers,
to enjoy the
uppers.
drugs that me and Tony were supposedly passing around.
Yeah, y'all were peddling them.
I had
Because they're
those.
too broke to buy their own, so they wanted to just come and
Yeah, they
you
just
know
want to take all y'all
have ours.
drugs. It's ridiculous.
You know me, the hoodlum with those Flintstone gummy vitamins.
yeah.
I brought some CBD oil for Lyle Blackburn. Does that count? Some hummingbird
Oh,
CBD.
definitely.
I don't know if that counts or not. I got him some because there's like a really they were a good brand, but it went out of business.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Lyle, if you're listening. I'm not gonna be able to give you any more because it's gone.
Just gonna have to deal with your
You have to
pain.
deal with it.
Throw it out in music.
Just walk it off, rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine.
So we got somebody who said they thought it was a skinwalker. I would, excuse me for yawning, folks. I would say skinwalker. If you had to ask me, I would say skinwalker. Now, Heath, I'm not going to joke about your experience, okay? He's very adamant about, at one point, I think he misunderstood me, and I'm going to say it again. Heath, I wasn't laughing at you. You thought I was scoffing when you said something. No, I just kind of was like, because I've heard this before. Okay. If I said, man, you're full of crap, and I hung up, then you'd know I was not believing your story. But I don't have any way to say, who am I to say you didn't see what you saw?
Do you think a plume on like the back of the neck? Do you think that's like hyena-like?
Well,
has
I mean,
something to do
I
with
would,
like it.
yeah, maybe. But
That's
then
what I
again,
thought of.
This guy says it looked like it had a freaking a bear skin on its back.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can't. I mean, what is that? Have we ever heard that? I mean, we've all three read like hundreds of stories. I mean, have we heard it?
Heard him wearing clothes, but
Clothes, yeah.
like wearing another animal skin is it's the first
I don't
one.
see the practical purpose behind that though, because it,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
like
I think because of the way he described it, it didn't have a lot of fur. It was like human hair, like it had thick human hair.
oh, so it wasn't like just covered in.
Did you not
hair.
hear the story? Good gosh, what is?
What?
You got that big old forehead, no brains. I know you're not related to me, man.
Oh yeah, because I'm brown and
you're
you're
brown and
you're not
I'm-
brown enough, so
I'm not
therefore I
brown
can't
enough.
be related.
Well, which
to
way
you,
is it? You're
right?
not white enough. Or I'm not brown enough. Which way would you have to look at that?
It goes brown, light brown, and then white.
Yeah, or brown, high yellow, white.
You're white. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you would. I mean, bear skin would make sense if it's a skinwalker. I mean, but wouldn't you turn into a bear type animal?
That's
and
what.
wear the
Yeah,
skin?
it's like
This thing was distinctly wolf-like, and the head looked weird. Like it was really weird. Like I don't know. If you were to take a bear, according to what he said, if you took a bear and a man, and I'll make the joke about man, bear, pig, but like a bear and a man and a wolf, and you mixed them all together, and it's like an amalgamation of that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if we go back to actually, Jerry and Ella talked about this on our last Thursday, on Thursday's episode. How like there's the belief that Bigfoot, or like all these different cryptids, that they are different variations of the same like primordial predator that's been around ever since there was like life on Earth, and that the form they take is dependent on what they consume the most. And so like whatever other forms of life they consume, they take on the characteristics of that life form. So
And even going so far as to they consume certain beings or animals so that they can take on those traits.
yeah.
So
the T color makes a pretty good point that I kind of just didn't even think about. That means it would have to knowingly skin the bear for a reason, i.e., it would have the forethought to actually like know how to do that.
okay, so let me go out on a limb here without sounding like a total lunatic, which I already do anyway. But if you were to take, I got to do the dramatic glass removal. Oh my God!
My God.
If you give the alien a cold, Jim Gaffigan, give him credit for that. He's a funny comedian. You got to do the dramatic glass removal.
Yeah.
You got to chew on the end too. I don't know. The hell. Here you go. if I had to tell you what I honestly thought, I would say this thing was some sort of skinwalker type being, and maybe it's just like a human being, and it had to do what it does. I mean, so it needed to stay warm, so it attacks a bear, kills it, skins it, maybe eats it. Who knows what it might do? And so what ends up happening? It uses the skin to stay warm. Somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat, staying warm. Everything all right?
Can you give me one?
Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to get Sleepy Dwarf over here. I had to eat that, folks. My throat, man, is getting kind of, I've been talking so much. My voice is almost, my throat's hoarse.
I made the mistake of preparing dinner for me and Anthony. It was a lot of pasta.
What have y'all eat pasta?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, we can't eat the same things because I can't eat what you eat. Because I'm too fat. Let's put it that way. Okay, folks, I'm just a little fat.
It was really good, but I guess it was a little heavier than we expected.
Every time I get into an argument with one of these fools, they're like, he's fat. And then you're looking at them going like, dude, you're no prize pig yourself.
Yeah, and they act like they're revealing something to you. They're
Yeah, like I haven't looked in a mirror and gone, whoa, I got some extra pounds there, you know. Just a little bit.
But you have like one of those carnival mirrors that just makes you skinny, and that's all you ever see.
I look at it, I was like, honey, there's a strange man in the bathroom. Help me, Nellie. She's like, honey, I told you not to use that mirror. That's the reality mirror. Use the fun mirror. The fun mirror. I go over there and I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. And then you go out in public and somebody calls you fat and you're like, what?
But me?
That's the weird guy that I saw.
Nelly has the same mirror, but it makes her taller.
No. She's going to kill you for that one, dude. Honey, you hear that? Here's the thing. Here's the story about his uncle. Now, his uncle had an encounter in Arkansas, and it was in northern Arkansas, and it happened like 1986 or something. He couldn't remember what year it was, like in the mid-'80s. He said, thinking it was probably 86, 87. He had an... It's kind of, okay, I'm going to tell the whole story. It might be kind of annoying or disturbing to some people. His uncle drank a lot. His uncle fought with his wife a lot. He was not a nice guy. This was his dad's brother. So his uncle did things that weren't correct, and he would put his hands on his wife. One of these encounters that happened, one of this times that he was fighting with his wife, his dad caught, let's put it this way, his dad caught a glimpse of something. He doesn't know what it was. But his wife called his mom, his mother, and said that, and he said, he goes, I wasn't even born yet. This is before I was born. And he said that his dad called and said, hey, or his aunt called and said, hey, I'm bleeding. I need to go to the hospital. And it's blood, like, out of my mouth. I know it's a disturbing thing, but I got to tell you what happened. So her and her husband rushed over there. And his dad had to kind of take care of his brother because his brother was an alcoholic and would spin out of control and do ridiculous things. And this situation was one of those situations where he had to take care of business. He had to beat up his younger brother. Literally, this guy said years later when he was a kid, he watched his dad beat up his younger brother because he was beating his cousin, which would have been his uncle's son, you know. And at that point, the mother had already up and left. So he was not a pleasant man, let's put it that way. But this night, something came out of the woods and ran up to his truck and began to pull him out of the vehicle and tried to, well, didn't try, it did, it bit him. He said that his uncle had scars. Now, his own words, right? He's like, my uncle was an actual useless hillbilly. What he says. I'm not talking about people who live out in the country or anything like that. There's just no swipe at anybody. This is what he told me. And he said, dude, his uncle was such a turd that when people would ask him where he got the scars from, he said he got attacked by a shark. He had gotten bit, and he said he had scars all the way around his, it looked like just like it would like a humongous canine bite. Pieces of meat were torn off of him. And the side of his back had a big, what looked like a claw mark on him. This thing attacked his uncle. So when his dad gets there, he sees something, like by the truck, and it just gets down on all fours and runs. Now, he goes to the hospital. Both of them go to the hospital. And he kind of got away with what he did to his wife because he lied at the hospital. We all know people that do these kind of deviant things. He lied and said, "Oh, she attacked me." So they didn't know who to believe or what to believe. So it was like they were fighting with each other. And she's like, "That's not what happened. He beat me. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what that is." So for years, he played it up like she attacked him. And then it became a dog attacked me. The reason that they think it was something not of this world like that, because he said that his dad told him when he drove up, there was something standing there in the window of his pickup truck. Standing. Okay. Not what you would think, like you would expect, like something, if it was a dog, it would get up on its hind legs and try to get into your vehicle or whatever. It's happened to me. I had a Caucasian Shepherd do it to me. It bit my hand. It bit me. I have like scars on. But let me tell you something. I knew it was a dog. Okay. It did not look like a werewolf to me. Now, a big, giant, white, wolf-like kind of dog, looking thing. But it wasn't. Okay. I know that. And I'm not going to sit up here and pretend. But this guy, when he was attacked by this thing, his brother, which was this guy Heath that told us about this bear-skinned skinwalker. Well, let's call it the bear-skinned skinwalkers. I don't know what to call it. I mean, he saw something get down on all fours and run into the woods, but he said that it looked man-like standing up. A couple weeks go by, and his brother starts to tell him the truth. He said, "Look, I was out there, and I was drunk, but I wasn't," as in his words, pee drunk, like you do the math. He's like, "I was drunk." He's like, "But that thing came out of the woods. It looked like a freaking werewolf. It did not look like a dog. It was not a normal creature." And I think it was opportunistic. I think it was just coming out there to see if it could kill him, take him away. It made it much easier for him because he wasn't wearing a shirt. Okay. So that is a weird story. And it was black. And that's all he remembers. It was black, had yellow eyes. The one that he saw, same thing, was black. It was just black. Not a lot of color or anything to add to that. And he don't remember the eyes even. He goes, "I don't even remember the eyes." And sometimes you don't remember like details when something happens. When I had my encounter, I didn't, like, it wasn't like I was studying every aspect of this creature. And I've said that. I don't remember every detail. It just is what it is.
I mean, you kind of just see what you see, and at that moment, if you're able to see one of these creatures and have that, experience of being shocked out of your mind, and you're still able to keep your wits about you and are able to take down notes and details, and I'll come and shake your hand personally, no matter where you are. That's just ridiculous.
Very ridiculous. And even in 1990, like, if we had the camera phones like we do now, people have asked me this question many times. I mean, they asked me this at the conference. I'm not going to pull my phone out and be like, hold on. Let me see if I can get one. Let's get a selfie together. Oh, I'm about to get eaten by a werewolf.
Bunny ears.
Not going to happen. I'm not going to take my phone out and hope for the best, see if I can get a photo op.
If I do take my phone out, I'm throwing it at the thing. I mean...
Well, you remember the story that we were given this story by the guy over at the water park on Labor Day. And you remember we talked about it on the show. And he says, I got a friend who's got a story, whatever. And when we were talking with the lifeguards, whatever they were, one of the things that came up, somebody asked me, they said, well, why didn't this person, the security guard, take a picture, whatever? I was like, oh, they pulled out their camera and shot some pictures and ran, but they didn't hit the target, because I know this when you do patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're on patrol, if you see something that looks like a reptilian thing running around or in the water, jumping out of the water, coming at you, are you going to take photos? And
I'll give you one better. It doesn't even have to be reptilian or anything supernatural. It could be just a regular human doing something nefarious, doing something they're not supposed to be, and you're trying to get a picture for your report. That's still impossible to do if they're moving and try to get away from you. Mm-hmm. Let alone something in the woods real quick when it's dark or when you can barely see and you're terrified out of your mind.
Yeah. I don't think people are being realistic when they say things like that. I had a trucker, actually it was a trucker from New Mexico. And I think Tony kind of jokingly was like, why didn't you take a picture? And I think he thought we were being serious. And he's like, are you serious? And Tony's like, no. Because he was like, he goes, are you being serious? I'm like, no. We were joking. Well, I wasn't. You were offending him.
Yeah.
I'm over there like this, like Dumb and Dumber. I'm like, that's him. He's the bad one. He's stupid.
Why didn't you sketch it?
He's stupid.
Ask her to paint it like one of the French girls.
He's like, where'd you find this guy? I'm like, you know what? Behind one of the restaurants we were at and he was just dumpster diving, and we felt sorry. We took him home like a stray cat, and he's just been here ever since. But we just love him. Every now and then we feed him, give him some water and some human clothes. But no.
I eat the human clothes. That's my food.
Well, you're wearing a nice, you want to take a picture of that?
It's a PRT hoodie.
Yeah.
It's his favorite to nibble on.
He's like, the cats do that still to this day. They'll get on you.
I found
they do like the little massage thingy with their paw.
And then they'll go, I'm going to try to bite you. And I'm like, dude, stop.
Yeah, one of the main reasons why these are always off center is because they're always nibbling on them, pulling on them and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. If it was me and I was doing a patrol and I saw something splashing around at the water park, I'm not taking a picture for you folks. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm getting out of it because nowadays it's not going to do any good anyway. Because people do this AI. I hate AI with a passion. I hate it. I hate the AI-generated stories. And if you're doing the AI-generated stories, shame on you. You're a piece of crap. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you right now on the air, you're a piece of crap. We use the AI, you do for the thumbnail.
Yeah, just for the thumbnail.
Yeah, but that's as far as I want to go. I don't want any. I don't even. It's bad for the artists. It's bad for the people who are getting the encounters and doing the hustling and work that we do. It's bad all the way around.
It's killing creativity.
It's ridiculous. And then they always got 6 fingers. What is that? Come on. Why? We know what that is. Come on. I'm sorry. I don't like AI. There's people that just love it. They think it's great. I don't like that. Yeah, Earth Files wrote a big one. What did he say? Earth Files, a young woman was staying in. Let me read this. What did he say?
He says a young woman was staying in Breton Works, I guess
UK during World War II,
during
yeah.
World War II, when one
Britain.
night she saw an enormous black dog pacing around her bed. It had glowing eyes, and she felt its breath on her before vanishing.
That's very common. We talked, I guess my guess isn't going to be able to make it tonight, so guess what? You get stories, and since we're moving in that direction, we're just going to move to another story. Let's take a vote. We can quit the show right now, walk off, and go home and do something productive with ourselves, or we can sit here and waste our time and talk about what you want to do. Take a vote right now.
Why are you raising your hand, Anthony?
He's like, I want to leave. Me, I want to go. So let me ask you a question, folks. We have time now because I don't think my guest is going to make it. That's, life happens. He's got something actually kind of serious going on here. So what do you guys want to do? I know you want stories. I'm joking and being facetious. I'm being facetious, folks. What do you guys want to hear? We can talk about all kinds of stuff. Let me get my notes. My eyes burning potatoes. Did we tell the story about the one near Budapest, Hungary?
I think I remember us telling a story out of there, but I don't remember if it was on the live stream or on the recorded episode.
Did we get into that one? Folks, did I tell that story about
At the very least, you mentioned it.
Because it says here I got 2 of them. There's 2 of them. We told the one about the firefighter in New Delhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one we did. And then the Oaxaca, the crone on Oaxaca. Oh, that was on Halloween. That was
Yeah,
on Halloween.
the Wawa.
What about the one in Cologne, Cuba?
I don't think we told that one.
Okay. That to me is a very creepy story. I'll give you one from Cuba. This one was interesting. We had a couple of friends that actually lived in Cuba, and we met some people that used to live in our apartment complex. We told one from Cuba. Which one? Was that on Halloween? Make sure I'm not telling the same one. This one was near Cologne. I don't think we talked
I don't
about
think
this
we got
one.
into that one.
Somebody said vampires. Calico, I got... Well, Tony, you were going over them with me the other... Were you 2, 3?
Yeah, you got a
Well,
couple.
I mean, we would call them vampires. I don't know what they are.
we got enough for like a quick live, but were we gonna do another show on them? I think that's what we were talking about, right?
We don't have enough for a show.
Yeah, that's why. So were we gonna wait until we gathered more?
Need some vampire stories, folks.
Yeah.
Be making stuff up, just, because you know me, I'm just going to throw any old crap out there and hope you listen and believe it, according to Ike.
Go gather your stakes and gather some stories for us from some vampires, guys.
Well, steaks kill vampires, but soap would probably take care of
oh, the other one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But let me tell this story. This one, there's a couple of them. The Budapest one, which I think is, I don't know what that was. I mean, it was a flying thing. I don't know. It could have been anything. But the one in Cologne, Cuba, this one's interesting. We've talked about Chupacabra and their connection to, I don't know what this is. I don't want to say it's a Chupacabra because that puts it in a box. Like, here it is. It's in a box, and this is what it is. What's in the box? But I'm going to tell you, man. This guy, he told us the story. His name was Roberto, and I think he used to work for our complex, didn't he? Or he used to work for the same company.
Yeah.
I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was telling us, we were over there swimming one day. He told us this a long time ago. We were swimming last summer, I think it was. And, or I think he told Scorpion. Is Scorpion in the chat? Because Scorpion could tell you.
He was earlier.
He gave him the story, and then he got me in touch with him. So I think Scorpion was swimming with his girlfriend or something, but the guy told him the story, and then it got to me. What I remember of this story, now this was secondhand to Scorp, and then I talked to him a little bit and kind of went over when I saw him by the mailboxes, and I went over the pieces or whatever. And so I wanted to do a show about Cuba because I had a lot of stories out of Cuba. And it's one of those things where we're fortunate enough to get those stories because they don't have access to get the internet and they're still under communism, folks. Yes. And one of the things that is really cool is that we lived around some Cuban people, and they were very, very nice, very, very, very anti-communist. I can tell you that. And they told us a bevy of different things about life over there and what it was like. And I know Tony and Anthony, y'all heard them tell us all kinds of stuff. And we talked about some of the different weird anomalies there. And now one of them had a cousin that gave us a really weird story too. I'll tell you that one day, but that one's going to go along with gargoyles. This one here, I don't know what it is. So I'm not going to say that this is what it is because you put it in a box and it's not really, it doesn't really fit. But he said when he was young, he was like 14 years old, they were walking through a heavily wooded area. It was almost like jungle, but not quite. It was just really heavily wooded, and he goes, we were walking back down a trail, and we were going back into town. We had come from a soccer field. Now, what they do in Cuba, they're very their ingenuities. It's incredible. None of their vehicles are above like the 1950s. Yeah. So they become masters at like repairing vehicles since the revolution. And Castro took over, so they don't really have, so they had to learn to fix everything. No new anything, nothing. So unless you had these imported little jalopies from the Soviet Union that didn't run worth a crap, then they couldn't find parts to replace them. You had a vehicle from the 50s, you had to make it work. You had to keep it repaired. And that's what they did. They just figured out a way. You know, life finds a way, people find a way. And he said, dude, we made a makeshift soccer field. He was like, me and several of our friends, we cut it out of the woods, like the jungle. He said, we were walking back from the soccer field. He's like, and it was getting dark. And we had heard reports of a weird creature, reptilian in nature. Now, that's not his words, mine. He said lizard, but this thing is walking parallel to us. He goes, and I'm looking, and I keep looking, and I'm telling my friend, and he's like, there's something following us. I don't know what this is. He said it was about half the size of a man. He said, and then eventually, he goes, they started walking faster, and then they started running. And then this thing started paralleling them, and it began to run. It ran fast. And he said, dude, eventually it outpaced us, and it was in the trees, you know. The growth is so thick. He said, dude, you're walking through there, the trees almost engulf you. It's just a little path, you know. You're always running into spider webs, he said. And this thing outpaces him, runs out in front of him on the trail. His friend didn't stop like he did. He stopped dead in his tracks, and his friend ran right by it. I'm not laughing at his predicament, but wouldn't you know? And then it just kind of put its weird-looking clawed hand out, and he said it was kind of standing like this, kind of like a raptor or a T-Rex or something. That's what I think. And then it just kind of reached out for his friend and then just turned his attention back to him like, you know, I'm focused on you. His friend had a backpack that was laying on the ground. He had dropped it, which I don't blame him. I would have been like,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't care about what's in the backpack. Even in the communist country where you don't have much, I would give up whatever just because this thing is going to be bad. He drops the backpack. He said, I'll never forget, it was a red backpack. My friend had this red satchel backpack, whatever. Things are hard to come by over there. So you had to be really scared to drop something you owned. You can't just go to Walmart and go, I'm going to go get another backpack. Like, we take everything for granted. Things we just throw away. Just throw them away. You don't even care about them. It's a big deal to them. Really big deal. He says, dude, this thing kind of looked down at the backpack and went toward it and kind of moving its head side to side. The best way I could describe this thing to you was like a skinny velociraptor-looking creature with like a weird, like, you know how chickens have that, the crest, because he drew us a picture, folks. I don't have the picture, but it looked kind of like a chicken looking thing on the head.
Yeah.
But it had a beak looking thing, but the beak had teeth.
Gross.
So the way that he described it to me and Scorp was kind of like, and I think at this point, Scorp and me and my brother kind of like field, what do you call investigators, you know, like we've gotten so many stories, and then you guys too. But I said, can you, because he said that, you know, his brother, who spoke not as good English as him, his brother, though, he said he can draw. He told him, hermanos, draw, you know. He said, okay, I come tomorrow, I'd bring you picture, I draw. I said, great, cool. And there was not a Russian, a Belarusian guy that used to work with him. So they come by, and we started talking. The Belarusian guy's cool. We've talked about history of his country, things like that. He liked me. He was a good guy. And they bring me this picture. And it was a pretty good drawing. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like a child's drawing or whatever, but it was decent enough to where you could, you okay?
Yeah.
It was decent enough to where you could make out, you know. And I got to say, it had this weird crest on its head. Almost like a chicken, but like a really big, demonic chicken with teeth. And my thought was, it kind of had a bulbous head. It kind of went back where the eyes were set more like, not side to side, but like more like a predator's, like, you know, looking straight ahead. And I had to say, it did look kind of like you could say it was like a really large chupacabra. But if I had to give you a description, it was like a chupacabra mixed with like a miniature raptor or T-Rex type thing. But not, the head didn't look T-Rex like at all. If you were thinking of like the terror birds, like that roamed, especially South America, you know, those creatures, a time when they ruled the earth. You know, that's kind of what this thing looked like. I think that what this thing was a flesh and blood actual creature, probably from the jungle or inner earth, whatever. And I think it was going to kill him because it lunged at him, and his instinct paid off. He grabbed the backpack because it seemed kind of interested in it, and maybe it was because it was red. Okay. He slung it because don't the birds see a bunch of different colors? You told me that, Tony. Okay.
I don't
guess you don't
remember.
know. You're dumb. Anyway, you know, Anthony? Did
I
they
don't
see
know
a
what-
bunch of
I don't know
colors?
what
Okay,
the-
look
what
it up
birds see.
because I don't want to be lying to my audience. Anyways, he took the backpack. I believe that there is a certain type of bird because we were looking and we have two of them, cockatoos, whatever. And Inner Earth stories, you haven't heard them yet, Spill and Tea? We've talked about them on the show multiple times. We had somebody that was from China, and her daughter went to like school here in a college. I think she went to like Vanderbilt or something. But anyway, she told us a story, or maybe it's Purdue. She told us a story about her mother being abducted and taken to the Inner Earth in northeastern China. It's a very weird story.
Compared to R1, I guess birds can see up to like 5.
Yeah. They see in different colors. Like I think that it's
Ultraviolet red, ultraviolet green,
exactly.
ultraviolet
So
yellow.
I want to make sure that I wasn't tripping because I know I read that somewhere. And so this bird-like creature, but it was dinosaur-like, bird-like on it. And I'm going to give you full description of it. The legs. Another reason why I say it looked like a chicken is because when it got down to the feet, the feet can only be described as chicken-like. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. I don't know how to describe it. It was just like the feet were kind of like the toes were splayed out, you know, like there was like a spur on it. He looked down, he saw the whole thing. The color was beige. It was nondescript beige, and he said mixed with green. The eyes, yellow, reptilian-like. And it had weird-looking clawed hands. Hands, not like claws, like an animal.
Yeah.
5 fingers, like a man,
Wow.
which is creepy. Or it's even creepier. And then the elbows bent out. You know, he was telling me all about. He was showing me the locomotion of this creature. You know, and the legs and how it moved. Very quick. But he grabbed the backpack and threw it at this creature and ran. And he wasn't that far from his house. The clearing was just right there. And then he took off down an alley. Well, not an alley. He was behind some houses and then turned down an alley. And this thing gave chase. And it chased him right up to his freaking doorstep. Right up to his doorstep. And then he was like praying. He was like, I hope my aunt left the door unlocked. He lived with his aunt and uncle. His mother was deceased. His dad was in prison. He's a dissident, of course. They don't let people vote. They don't let people have rights here. But he takes off and goes up the stairs, and this thing runs up and is right there at the foot of the stairs. He has like a little, like he runs up into his house. He said just then his neighbor was outside screaming, and some of the neighborhood people were throwing rocks at it. And this thing just took off. He said it was about a little over 6 foot tall and very massive in the body. But it was weird, like the way it was shaped and built. The body just kind of came out into a tail. And a couple days go by, and him and some of his friends, he wouldn't go. His friends went in, they found the backpack. It was ripped, like just one big, torn apart. They found some weird footprints, and they decided that they weren't going to let it run them off. So they started taking like sticks and rocks, big pieces of rock and stuff. And he said, you're playing soccer and you're nervous. You're looking at the wood line going like, I don't know, man. Should we be kicking the ball around out here? He never saw it again. But one of his cousins, like his cousin's girlfriend saw it. And his cousin lived like 2 houses down. And he said that he was one of the few people, he had a car. And he was going to pick up his girlfriend, and she was on the steps, and she saw something in the corner of her eye going toward her. So she jumped in the car and said, there's something coming. And he looked, and he didn't see it. And then they turned off the other way. And she was like, it was like a reptile-looking whatever. but she lived like in like the next neighborhood over. Like his cousin lived right there by him, but it wasn't it was in their neighborhood. It was in a different neighborhood, not far away.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then there were people who'd claim that they would see it like lurking around, watching them. Eventually, some military people came through there, and they heard shooting and shouting, and they didn't hear any more stories from it. That was like maybe months later. You know, I think that somebody that might have been important to somebody in the party probably got attacked, and then they did something about it. He did say, though, that they took 2 bodies out of there after those soldiers went in there. 2 of them came out covered up. So we don't know. We don't know. Did they kill this thing? Was it a rogue? What was it? I mean, what could it have been? Give me your thoughts. Let me know.
I mean, just being around a regular big bird is unnerving to me enough. Like, I don't like being around.
I thought you were gonna say just being around a regular chicken is unnerving. I'm like, I guess.
No. I'll kick a chicken across the room. I don't care about no chicken. I'm talking about like big birds, like ostrich,
Emus.
emus,
Yeah.
especially like those cassowaries.
Cassowaries are
Those
terrifying.
things will kill you.
Yeah.
Like if you're,
You know that they can hear your heartbeat, so that they know where to aim that back claw.
well, I do now. It's just insidious, nasty things. But
Oh.
I don't know. Like, I mean, regardless of whether I'm in the presence of a regular big bird or whatever the hell it was they saw.
It doesn't make it better, yeah. But
Yeah.
You know what a basilisk is?
Yeah.
It's like the Greek little chicken thing that turns people to stone. That's what this thing kind of reminds me of when he was describing it.
Elastic Machinery says, "Oh my God, Anthony, you'd kick a chicken, not for no reason, dude. I'm talking about like,
Well, someone has to go around
if a
kicking
chicken attacks me, I'm absolutely punting it. I'm sorry.
You don't kick chickens, Elastic? Jeez, what's wrong with you?
I'll kick in. I'll kick any chicken. I don't care. I'll throw hands at a chicken. I'll throw feet at a chicken. I'll throw elbows and knees at a chicken. If it attacks me, I will take on any chicken on this planet one-on-one, and I will absolutely defeat it.
Get that chicken in a rear
Afraid of
naked
no
choke.
chicken.
Turned.
Heck yeah. And then I'll eat it.
Cook it and
I
everything.
fear no chicken or rooster or whatever. But
I think you're pathetic.
what, for not being afraid of chickens?
No, because like, okay,
I'm not talking about
let me give you a
abusing
scenario.
chickens.
What if this chicken is like 6 foot tall?
I just
and has
said
teeth.
I just said I'd be terrified. Okay, I just said that I'd be terrified of any large bird. But then before I said large bird, Tony was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to say chicken."
Okay, let's say it's not a large bird, but it's 6 foot tall. And
That's
it
a
has
large
teeth.
bird.
Like I said,
That's a huge bird.
I just said it's not a large bird. It's only 6 foot tall and it has teeth and it's massive.
I don't think you're hearing them out.
Yes. Okay. Whatever size. Whatever. If it's 6 foot tall and it's a bird, I'm terrified of it.
Okay, all right. So
what
I'm
size?
not going to kick
Folks,
it.
though,
What size of bird are you okay
we're being
with?
joking here, but let's be honest. Okay, this is a lesson to be learned. This is how arguments start on the internet. I just said that he said he's afraid of a large bird, and I said it's not a large bird, but it's 6 foot tall. So it's all relative depending upon your perspective, what you think is large. I don't think a 6 foot tall thing is large. I'm 6'4". Why would I be afraid of a 6 foot tall thing? That's not large to me. Large to me is like 7 foot, 8 foot. That's getting up there, and then you get some weird, crazy stories, 9, 10, whatever.
Well,
But because I prefaced it with it's not a large bird, but it's 6 foot tall, 400 pounds, then you have to respect what I said. Right? Isn't that how it works? How the arguments on the intranets and Facebook, isn't that how it works?
Well, I
because everybody,
disagree.
the smart people are on Facebook arguing.
This is pretty cool. Larry Fisher said, "Anthony, I got an emu spur me. I had an emu spur me through my shin. The emu was delicious afterwards."
Have you guys?
Cool.
Larry's Facebook is just joke central, man. Like he just we call it SH posting. You know, that's
Oh,
what he
yeah.
does. It's just
Larry's pretty great.
give him a shout out on here too with the for his
Larry and Son.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Fisher.
Hey, can you go get the
hat?
there's a hat right
Yeah.
there. You know, wear that hat. So, so Larry, thanks for being with us. Not just tonight, but every night. You're here like for every live stream, for every episode. And Larry has a roofing company right here called Fisher and Sons, and he's an official sponsor of PRT. That's his company logo and his phone number. So save it just in case you ever need it, which eventually you will.
His phone number's not on there.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there on the camera.
What are you talking about, dude?
Hang on.
Read it.
It's
so
not
people
focused. There we go.
Read it.
They can see the number
They
right
can't because
there.
there's people's names in front of it, doofus.
Okay,
The number is
right now.
Z1440S.
Okay. Okay, it's 214-405-7473. Save that number because eventually you will need some roofing work done. It's one of those things that you don't need often, but you need it when you need it. And when it comes up, call that number and have Larry come out and have his crews do it.
they do it right. I mean,
He pays them above market value for their labor, so they prioritize jobs that are done for him. So you're gonna get your roofing work done on your time and not on someone else's time. And they do better work. They get to you faster. And Larry's just a good guy. You want to support a small business owner? Give Larry Fisher a call. Save his phone number in your phone. You're gonna need it eventually if you're a homeowner, and a lot of you are. Use Larry Fisher and Sons.
Larry Fisher and Sons.
Larry Fisher and Sons.
Oh my God. Okay, we don't need to keep saying it. Larry knows we're talking about him. Okay, sound like a bunch of OCD people here. It's like I'm playing cards with my own kids, my
Larry
brother's
Fisher, Larry Fisher and Sons, Larry Fisher and Sons.
Good ones.
Somebody said something to us too the other day. Andre, I don't want to make a joke here, but you were very rude and you said we laugh and joke too much. Shame on you, Andre. Shame on you. Okay, I think we don't joke and laugh enough. What is life if you can't joke and laugh? I mean, am I just going to sit here and tell stories like this?
There was
a man who walked with a red backpack. He was with his friend. They ran into a giant chicken thing. The end. I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to talk with folks? Let me ask you a question. We got 540 people in here. Let me ask you a question, okay? And give me your honest. I want honest answers. No bull crap. Don't pull any punches. Don't be nasty and snarky, rude. We don't need that. We got enough of that all day long. Look, just tell me. Is there something I need to change or do that would make things better for you? That I could do better. I want to do better. I want to be the best I can be. Okay, I want to put on a good show, but I want to do my job correctly. Should I smile more? I mean, what do you want me to do? So Magman says, "Wolf, you ain't AI." Okay, there's different ways to interpret that. I'm not artificially intelligent enough, or I'm not abdominal indigestion enough. Which one is it? Because I don't want to be like Ike up there. Oh my gosh, we need to put the cockroaches
idiot
behind me. If that's what you want to look at, we got some cockroaches. We could tape them, the ones from Halloween up here under the. We use them for one of our skits.
We could just leave some food out and they'll show up.
No, because then Ike might show up.
Yeah.
You don't want real ones around here.
And don't worry, folks. Don't worry about them suing us, because if they sue us, then everything's going to come out about them, and they don't want that. Nobody, you're going to depose it. Plus, we can tie it up for. It doesn't matter. They're not going to. People are like, oh, they could sue you. I wish. I'm waiting for the Filthy Five to sue me. Go ahead, do it, please.
Oh, Dick Richards says fire the co-hosts to start.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jesus Amaya says stop doing drugs.
Drugs are bad. Okay, and we don't want to do drugs.
I know what your problem
We don't
is,
wanna be
Dick
bad.
Richards. You're a chicken apologist, and I offended your chicken sensibilities. You love chickens. I'm anti-chicken. I like eating them, and you, I don't know, you like not liking me for kicking chickens.
You're un-American. In fact, you really are. You're from
It's
Canada.
not American.
You're not American.
When you're from Canada, you're not an American, really. You
We
really
got the
not.
best chickens over here.
Folks, we got the best chickens. You're not an American. China. Okay? They're going to be all kinds of flag words on this one. They're going to probably not give us. We're going to be held for review by YouTube. They're like, They said the word China a couple times. And they're talking about chickens. No bueno. But you know, I don't know. I think if it was me and some giant animal like that came out at me, I thought about this too. Like maybe kick the backpack at it, but to reach down and throw it, that's pretty ballsy. I wouldn't have done that. I probably would have I don't know what I would have done. That would have been a terrifying thing to happen. Especially if it's hungry, if it looks hungry.
Probably would have just crapped my pants and gotten killed.
You're very honest.
Yeah, I think I'll be thinking too hard. Like, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be like an action movie, and then the thing's just going to swipe my head and kill me instantly.
Yeah, well, you have like your whole John Wick movie playing in your head about you doing all this crazy stuff to the big bird thing.
That'll be it.
The blood has to come out just in, you know, like a shooting out like a faucet. I always wanted to make like a fake B horror movie, just making fun of fake B horror movies. Like somebody gets stabbed with like a penknife and just blood just goes, you know, like a faucet, dude. That was, I always thought, man. Oh, dude. What does Lockbeard say? He says, I live on a ranch with a lot of chickens. If roosters grew 6 foot tall, they would kill you. Yes, they would, because they got spurs. They could kill the crap out of you. The terror birds were known to do that. They had claws that they would use to just grab and just tear. They were the descendants of the velociraptors.
Told you.
That's what they were.
Chickens are ruining this country.
60 regular sized
like
chickens versus, or would you fight 60 regular sized chickens or one 6 foot tall chicken?
60 regular
Yeah.
chickens. What are they going to do?
I put a Stone Cold Stunner on a chicken. I don't
What
give
you
a
do?
damn.
One giant one would be way worse than. That's like asking, would you fight a bunch of toddlers or would you fight me? I mean, come on, dude. You're gonna, you know, Smurf the Smurf Village, or do you
Well-
want to fight Andre the Giant? I mean,
I'd fight the toddlers out of principle alone, but
I don't know. Let's move on. These people are. They come up with some ridiculousness. Here's one I got for you, and I didn't want to have to tell this one, but you know what? This is one of the Halloween leftover ones, and I'm trying not to do them. I'm trying to save them for Sunday, but I'll go ahead and tell you. I thought this one was Dimitri sent this one to us. Okay, and I got a couple other ones that I got that were pretty interesting. Chet and a guy named Chase had a pretty weird incident too. I got a guy who I want to bring on the show to talk about a particular military base, but I'm waiting for him to get the rest of his information together. So I don't want to talk too much about, but one of the things that happened in that area, but this is one of the things that happened in that area. And he's no longer in the military. It used to be Fort Hood. I don't know, what do they call the base now? Eric was telling us yesterday. We were talking about all this yesterday.
They renamed it something. I don't remember what they call it now.
It's from a Latino man's name. I don't know what it is. But I don't know the name of it. They changed the name of it, but it was Fort Hood for years, for decades. And anyways, this person was in the military, not anymore, and his girlfriend still is. So I'm not going to say her name, but they were at a Halloween party in Killeen.
Fort Cavazos. That's what Chris
Fort
Anderson says.
Cavazos. There you go. Who said that?
Chris Anderson.
Chris Anderson. Okay, thanks, Chris. Chris would know. And so there was a Halloween party, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and they were leaving. And this person saw this with his own eyes. He's like, dude, I've never watched your show, but my friend's always talking about, oh, it's great, whatever. Probably in the chat right now. You don't have to say hi if you're there or not. And you know what? He may not be. He has a day job, so those weird people that work during the day. Anyways, but anyway, like he said, I started listening to your show just like a couple weeks ago. My friend kept bugging me about it. Thank you to your friend. Your friend was Martin. You're a good guy. You got him on the PRT train. That's where he needs to be. So this didn't happen on the base. This happened in Killeen, though, and I know kind of where he was at. He said that when he was walking back to his vehicle. And I mean, and this is, he had to relieve himself. It's a big party. He goes, there was a line to the bathroom. I'm not going to sit there and try to whatever. So he goes, dude, I'd made a mistake. I went up between 2 vehicles. One of them was mine. And I went to the tree line to relieve myself. There was a little bit of trees right there. It wasn't the woods or anything. He says, and I hear something, not the noise coming from my whatever I was doing. And I don't mean to be crass, folks, but it is what it is. And he hears something like slap on the pavement, and he's like, and then he sees something. He looks down. This happened Halloween night, just now. He's like, I look down and I see this, what looks like fingers come up from underneath my Camaro. And he's like, dude, what is that? He's like, I got a really nice restored Camaro. He's like, it's my pride and joy. You know, I got to look down. I'm like, what am I looking at? And he's like, and I thought, you know, he's like, I had been drinking a little bit. And he goes, I wasn't going to drive. My girlfriend was sober. She was going to drive. I was waiting for her to come out. He goes, I'm on the passenger side. And he's like, yeah, Media Palace. Read what he just said right there. Mm-hmm. So, and Noble, look what Media Palace just posted. Keep in mind that. This guy looks underneath it and he says, I don't know what I'm looking at. I didn't have a flashlight and it was dark, but he's like, it moved its head toward me and I heard a snap. And he goes, I think this thing just tried to bite my face. He's like, I went backwards, you know, and I fell backwards onto this other car. And then I just kind of started trying to get out of there. He goes, I turn around and I look and I see, he goes, I looked under it again because I wasn't real sure what I was dealing with or looking at. He goes, and I see this thing sprawled out up underneath the car, up underneath my car, stretched out from one side of the car to the other. Now, Camaro's a long car. They said this thing was ridiculous, you know, it was a white, pale, humanoid crawler-looking creature. Now, on that highway from here to I guess, Georgetown, I'm so bad with the names of the highways. If you could just look it up real quick. The one that goes from Killeen to Georgetown. I guess it takes you and gets you back on 35. Whoever's is lived there will tell you. I mean, I know
195.
195. There you go. I know a lot of people have been there, whatever. I don't, you know. My friend Willie lived there for years. But this thing was underneath his car. And it crawls out from underneath it, and then it goes out, flops on the ground, and then just immediately repositions itself. And he's like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. So he takes off running inside, and he goes and tells a bunch of people, and they run outside with him. One guy's got a flashlight, another guy's got his phone or whatever, and it's gone. And and you begin telling me by saying, yes, blondes and booze, that's the thing. A Camaro sits low to the ground. This thing had flattened itself out.
Yeah.
Like a thin crust pizza. My words, not his. But when he told me that story, he said, dude, I just read that. I was laying there in bed and, you know, Nellie, I just woke up that next day after Halloween and I read that story. I said, check this out. You know, this. So immediately I had to get in touch with this guy. There's nothing really more to it. I can't really tell you much else. I mean, it was just there. But you remember when we did the first one, the rake, we talked about the rake. And I don't care whether it's a creepypasta name or not. These aren't creepypasta stories, so I don't care.
If we can call
So I'm going to call it a
werewolf Dogman, and we're okay with
yeah,
that.
you can call it a dog man.
Yeah.
Then why not a rake? Okay, I'm sick and tired of these people. A rake is not a real creature.
When all of a sudden we start caring about names, when we start calling things boogers and Bigfoot.
Yeah, Booger Valley. Let's go with that. Or Skinwalker, when they say, oh, it's an Indalushi, you know, it's from the Navajo, whatever. Everybody's got a story like that. The Wendigo. Oh, that's only from this. Shut up, okay? Let's just start calling things what they are, all right? This is a rake creature. I don't care if the name came from the back of a Campbell's soup can. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's what it is now. So anyway, we did a show about the rake, and I remember we had one, and it might have been on the live stream. It might have been a pre-record. I don't know. But I remember the story was somebody was sitting on their balcony in their apartment complex, and they saw one of these things stretched out between two cars. Do y'all remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you remember the guy that told us, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that he told us that one, like, straight up. Like, so that was, I'm telling you, man, one of our neighbors that used to live above us, they lived in not, what is that town outside of Houston? Was it Pasadena? It was
I think
Pasadena,
so.
yeah. He was in Pasadena, and he worked security in Pasadena, and he told me a crazy story just the other day. I've been trying to get him to tell me the story for a long time, and I'm going to tell his story. I'm going to tell it next, because this happened on Halloween, because when I told him what happened to me on Halloween, he said back in 2006 on Halloween night, and this guy, he was into guns. Like, I mean, He loved his guns. I was always like, man, I'm laying here and he's above me up there in that apartment. I hope he doesn't, he's cleaning his gun or something, whatever. Because he liked to
He seems like the
drink
type.
too, and I was just like, man, I hope he doesn't drop it, But he never did. Thank goodness, I'm still here. And they were good guys. I mean, my brother hung out with them quite a bit, but he told me a crazy story. And he said, look, man, he goes, I'm going to tell you this. And when he told me this story, it was right after our neighbors, the ones that lived across or next to him or across from him, the ones from India that told us the stories about the computer place next door.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that when they were talking about the wolf-looking thing they saw around their campus?
I think so.
Yeah, well, it was me and D.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, I can't take all the credit. Diablo, if you're in the chat, I mean, you're the one that broke that story. You're the one that talked to those guys. Said, hey, come here and tell these guys got a story. They probably think we're crazy because we're always going around telling our neighbors, hey, have you seen anything weird? And they're just like, just you. Why are you standing in front of my door? I can't stand here? They're like, well, you're in a Speedo, sir. Can you please get away from my door? And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm holding a machete, and I'm in Speedos. You're going to act all weird and not tell me your ghost story. You know what? You ain't nothing but a little sissy. That's all you are. And then I just walk off because I don't have time for these people. I don't have time for people like that.
I'm not going to watch you sleep tonight, all right? How about that?
You have lost your sleep watching privileges.
If you can't have me at my worst, you won't ever see anything. That's it. That's how it goes. But what is it? You won't see me at my best. Like,
Yeah. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my somewhat mediocre.
that's
There you go.
let's be honest. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for real. So the bottom line, though, let's talk about this. Let me get me myself composed here. It is one of those things where, D, I was just asking a question. If you remembered, right around the time that our neighbors upstairs that were all into guns and stuff, and then we had the neighbors across from them, they were from India. I don't know if you remember those people, but the people from India were telling us a story. We're like a little community, We lived in an apartment complex. We're friends with all our neighbors. We lived there for years. We had one problem with some neighbors who had to be taught to keep it down and stop stabbing each other. That was it. Other than that, we had no problems. They didn't live there very long. And I'm not making this up, guys. Y'all remember this? There was blood that sat in the hallway on the ceiling of the hallway.
Yeah.
And it was there for probably several years? And it looked like red, rusty something. And our neighbors, like the guy from, he was from Panama. Remember, he was a real nice guy. Don?
Mm-hmm.
His name was Don. And he goes, what is that? And I go, oh, that's blood. And this is not a goofy, cheapy, little crappy place. This is the Domain. I'm like, okay, you pay money to live. We didn't because we were grandfathered in. We had been there for so long. We got in and we were paying like a few $100s less than our neighbors. I got to say that. But they left blood on that. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I was a bachelor. I didn't, people were like, what is that? It's chocolate milk. I ain't worry about it. No, it was there because they stabbed each other. I'm not joking. And a guy laid in that hallway. He didn't die though. He died at the hospital, right? Or he went to the hospital.
I think so.
Yeah, he died at the hospital or something. Neighbors got real carried away. They were from Honduras and they were construction workers. And one night there was a drunken dispute over like tacos or something, meatloaf. I don't know what it was, but they just stabbed each other up. And the next thing you know, they're like,
Just a simple knife fight accident.
It's a simple
it
knife
happens
fight
to the best
accident.
of us. Just a little bit of stabby time.
yeah, it's a stabby stab.
I mean, who
thing,
doesn't enjoy a bit of stabby time?
Just stabbing each other up.
Yeah.
If you happen to hit the
Just
aorta,
two friends stabbing it up.
that's what happens.
Chopping it up.
They're chopping it up. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
When they come here, they have their culture, their customs. You just got to work with them, You're like, oh, you're going to murder that animal right here at the birthday party?
It's a short
Sure,
river,
no
dude.
problem. Let's do that. We don't have H-E-B, grocery store to go get the food. Let's do it right here in the backyard with 7-year-olds. That actually happened to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, your stepdad did that.
Yep.
I was in shock. I was like, wow, you couldn't have just got cabrita at the mercado. You had to go and kill the animal right here, and the children have nightmares now. Thank you. You think they feel
Ron.
like hitting the Teenage
because
Mutant Ninja Turtle pinata?
They brought the goat to the backyard, and like all the kids, including me, thought like, oh, cool.
Oh,
cool.
it's a petting goat. Yeah.
Yeah, like they brought a goat for us to pet, and then they were like, okay, all the kids go inside, and we didn't know why. And then we just hear.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it any
it's just
further.
terrible.
It was terrible. But
You had to be there. It was horrible.
no, Magman, it wouldn't have been carnitas. It would have been cabrita. Okay, so, but the thing is, we were good friends with all of our neighbors other than those people. We weren't really even enemies with them. They didn't stab us. And one of them got in my face one day. Was a little bit drunk, and I politely grabbed him about his neck and his arm and escorted him into his apartment and told him, look, this guy's missing. You need to take care of him. And I was nice, and then nothing happened beyond that. They were on the stairs one day enjoying some stuff, and I just said, you're blowing that all over me. Don't do that. And then we had a couple words, and when I went and I got up close and personal so they could hear me better, because I think they were hard of hearing, then they stopped. So that was it. We didn't have no more problems. I went up there one time to bang on the door, told them to stop with the loud fighting or whatever, and they did. But they did things to each other. This was years ago, like 15 years ago, something. What ended up happening, though, we had some other neighbors we were very good friends with, and they told us a story. And so this guy from Houston was over there, and he was out on his back porch, and he would be on his back porch cleaning his guns. It's Texas, And I got PTSD from it. I was like, oh, my gosh, he's got a automatic weapon that just shoots and kills, and it just spews death. I was so verklempt.
It's a fully semi-automatic death
machine. It's a fully semi-automatic death machine. One time we left it out on the patio for 2 days, and you know what? It's a miracle it didn't go out and just shoot up everybody.
It was
on
stopped
its own.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it didn't. It could have became sentient.
It was stopped by the spoon. But
I actually found one in my kid's baby Ruth. It was a fully functioning AK-47. That's joking. I put it on my Facebook. It's like a meme or whatever. It's like somebody took a wrapper and stuck it on the end of a AK-47. But no, these guys were cool. But he said, dude, one time, he's like, I asked him. We were talking, and our neighbors from India were there. We were all talking. My brother was there. And he told him, he said, did you ever have anything weird happen? Because they were talking about this weird creature they saw with their campus. Campus being like the computer company they worked for. And my brother said, you got to talk to these guys. They got a weird story. Well, then the one guy started telling us, his name was, what was his name? The blonde-haired guy. Chris or Robert or something like that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. It's been so long. But anyway, he was good friends with my brother. And so he says, I got a story for you. He goes, the only time I ever actually shot at something, it was really weird. And so a few months ago, he reached out to me. And his story was cool because it happened on Halloween, and I didn't get to talk about it. On Halloween, we ran out of time. It was a 2-hour special already. So I thought, why not? Let's talk about it, So here's the story. What happened, he was down in Pasadena, right near Houston, where he used to live. And he said that he was driving home, and something ran out in the road in front of his vehicle, and he hit it. And when he did, his vehicle came up the tire, everything came up off the ground. He wasn't driving a really big vehicle. It was a Kia, like a Sorrento or whatever. But it was big enough to where, it hit whatever. And he said, I thought I killed it because something rolled and then I ran over it. And he's like, and my vehicle came up off the ground, and then I went off onto the side of the road. And he admitted, he said he was sober. He's like, I was going a little fast for that area. It was coming out of a residential area. He's like, I stop. And I'm like, what did I hit? And his girlfriend was all panicky. And I know her. I know she is too. She's very loud and opinionated. I'll say that. They're not together anymore. But yeah, she had some issues. I'm just going to say that. Hopefully she's not listening. But she was like, we need to stop because it looked like a person. And he was like, what? That didn't look like a person. It looked like an animal or something. He thought it was like a white dog or some kind of goat or something. He didn't know what it was. But his girlfriend was very adamant. She's like, no. This was some sort of like human looking thing, So and this guy's he had never told us anything weird. He told me one ghost story about his great grandmother or something like that, the house they lived in. He had never told me anything weird like this, nothing like that. We never talked about that. And we were friends with him, probably way before the show. I mean, they weren't there when the show started. They were there because Nelly never even met these people. I'm talking to you.
Do
Did you hear what I said?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Checking the comments.
Okay, so he's not even listening.
Well, it was probably before me then as well. Then, right?
Do you remember the Indian guys that worked next door?
Not really. Not that
No,
well.
then you probably it was. Geez, now you know what? I think that was you would come around, but you weren't living with us. I think that
No,
was probably what 2009 to 2010.
Oh yeah, then definitely I wasn't.
Yeah, that was like early on.
Early, yeah. So, because that was around the time that the guy got stabbed, or maybe it was that was
No, that probably happened around 2011, maybe. No. 2012, 13.
when the guy got stabbed.
I think so.
Well, I can't remember. I don't know. And the time moves. It's whatever. Anyway, we're wasting time talking about that. Look, the point is, okay. He gets out. Now, I mean, it's Texas, like I said, and he had a very high-powered weapon. Everybody knows, and so it's a 15. I don't even want to say the full name because you never know what could happen. One could appear. You're talking it up. It could appear. Okay. But no, he gets out of his vehicle and he has this in the back seat, and she's like, "Why do you have to get out with that?" And he's like, "Because this thing could." And while he's telling her, she's looking and she's like, "Where is it?" This thing is behind their vehicle, and he doesn't know how this happened because he thought that he'd hit it, and when he ran over it and he went off the road, he thought that it moved like it was like it went off into the ditch, like it was like they drug it or whatever. And he's like, "It's not there." And he's like looking around, and he's like, "Let's get back in the car." And while they're talking, this thing comes from down, like he said, it was like down the street. Like you could see it like running from like a distance, but it was so fast that it was like right up on him, and he popped off like several rounds at this thing, and then it just veered off and went off into the woods. Now I asked him this question, and I said, "Did you think that it was?" I mean, he goes by Dark Elf. That's his nickname or whatever. And but I asked him a question. I said, "Let me ask you a question. What did you think it was?" He said, "When it was running toward me, it looked like a white dog with spines on its back." And that's why when we started talking to the people they were the Indian guys, the Punjabi guys, they were talking about that weird thing that they were seeing on their campus. Then we got to talk to one of the security guards who claimed that they saw something go into the parking garage. Very weird. I don't know. He said he fired at it, and then they got in the vehicle, and they took off. He says it was the only time he ever had to actually open fire on something. So, what was it? I have no idea. And I can't remember his roommate's name. His roommate had a weird story that he had told, but I can't remember the story or his roommate's name. Drive me nuts. But anyway, yeah, he told us that story, and I don't know. He reiterated it to me like the whole story, a few months ago, and I thought and it happened on Halloween night, 2006. So I don't know, man. I mean, Pasadena, Texas. But tell me your thoughts. He talked to a few people that lived in the neighborhood and the adjacent neighborhood because he had cousins there, and nobody had ever seen anything like that. It makes me wonder if something comes out on Halloween, that goes back in the box after it's done doing whatever it does on Halloween.
I would think so, right? I mean,
Either that or it's just something that was, I don't know, passing through, like not native to that area, just kind of migrating. I don't know.
We talk so much about these things being like, some sort of creature that comes out of, some sort of primordial cave, I don't know. Give me your thoughts, folks. What do you think this is?
I am curious about what the net. So, if we were to assume that like these are different dimensions, or like there are creatures that come from different dimensions, or just different worlds in general, then I'm curious about like what the next creature would be. Like what would be the next the newest thing that would come to here, and what exactly would it look like, and what is its purpose? And you know, even though everything we have here is already weird, I'm wondering about like what is the next story that's gonna be like, oh, that's too crazy to believe, and people are gonna be like, whoa, wait a minute, like 5 years from now, that actually sounds like that's starting to make a lot of sense. We're seeing that all the time now, like what happened with Dogman and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wonder what the next one will be, where people are like, yeah, that's
With the rake.
with the rake as well. I mean, even now when you have like the bearmen, you're getting a lot of some more stories about that, and you know people are like, oh, that might be a little bit too out there, but it always happens to where what might be a little bit too out there, all of a sudden sees happens more and more often, and people start having more and more encounters with them, to where people are like forced to believe it. So I'm curious about like what the next thing that is so bizarre that we don't believe it.
Yeah.
Maybe these things have been around, like these the really strange creatures that people see have been around this whole time. It's just that over time, when discussing things like Bigfoot and Dogman become destigmatized, that now people are a little bit more comfortable coming forward with their like really bizarre, like the bizarre amongst the bizarre encounters.
What do you think? Is it possible that like even that's like their goal? Is like, you know, is like, oh, these are, we're going to give you things that you can recognize, and wait until you guys are ready for these eldritch abominations that are going to be coming. It's like, you know, we have to prepare your mind for what the real menaces are that are coming.
Daniel Palmquist had an interesting comment. He said, wasn't there a story about an electrician who was stuck in his skylift bucket with Dogman throwing rocks? Yeah, that was made by Swamp Man. Okay. I don't know the validity of that story, so I would take it with a grain of salt, because anything that comes out of that swamp is probably not.
Well, it's dirty.
And yeah, I'm sure you're watching me too. Okay, he's probably they're probably up there watching, grinding his teeth.
I think the most bizarre rake story for me.
That may be true. On a how do you say your name? Al-Jabari or Al-Habari? This sounds crazy, but I really think, in my opinion, this is the rake thing is some kind of government experiment mixed with human and some kind of insect. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, because the rakes are just super bizarre. I mean, I think for me, the story that every time I hear a rake that comes to my mind is when that guy was looking in the river and he sees like a plastic bag floating in the river, and then all of a sudden it unfolds into a rake. Like that's crazy, because all of these supernatural creatures, physical appearances and beings and makeup is bizarre, but the rake seems like one where it doesn't even make sense even if you try to make sense of it. You know, the way they're able to contort their body, and they're just bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they do things that seem to defy the laws of physics as we know it.
Like even to like some supernatural creatures, where like, okay, that's pretty far out there, but maybe you just know something that we don't know. But the rake, man, they do things where even like I'm like, that doesn't even make sense if you try to make it make sense.
I'm going to say this, and this is a theory I've heard before and espoused, and I don't remember what show it was I was listening to. Don't get to watch many, so I should remember, but it was somebody's channel that I was checking out, just kind of. But the person on there was saying, they were talking about it, and I just started going on in my head thinking, what if this creature, what it is it's like the preform of, like, you know how Jerry and Ella were talking about, they eat and then they become whatever?
Yeah.
What if that's what it is? I'm not saying this is what I believe.
Yeah.
We can theorize and postulate on stuff and not say, hey, this is completely what I believe this is, but we can talk about it. I mean, what if that's what if that's what we're dealing with? I mean, you're dealing with something that's like a preform.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation about a bunch of different types of like weird blobs or weird little makeups of things that don't really make sense, whether it be rakes or those black blobs or those like shape shifting blobs or like shadows or portals. I mean, it's hard to say like, are they more connected than what we believe? You know, like or is what we're thinking of different creatures just different aspects of the same creature in different points of its life?
She Rocks says, learn how to work poll feature and we can tell you. We know how to do that. So we could just make a poll and you're going to tell us what you think?
You want to make a poll?
You want to make a poll?
Sure.
I think the poll should be, do you think Rake Man? Yes, no. Like
You think Rake Man, yes, no, what?
That's a great poll right there. What are we polling about, though?
Well, I mean, I guess we're going to make a poll. What are we going to make a poll about?
That's why I was like making fun of, because I don't know what we would make a poll about.
How about we do one about what we think the rake is? Do you think it's an alien? Do you think it's insect mixed with government experiment? Let's go government experiment gone awry. How about a preform according to the Choctaw legends or whatever?
So you got aliens, freeform, experiment, and then underground creature.
Yeah, underground creature. That could be alien, and it could be both. My finger hurts so bad right now. I don't know why it's doing that. It's cramping up.
Did it happen just now?
Yeah. Well, no, it's been off and on.
Huh?
Go ahead, tell them.
Alien, experiment, underground. Well, I guess not. We're not doing that one. And then preform.
Oh, it popped.
Oh, did it?
It popped. Okay. Ooh. Now it's not hurting. Probably what I needed to do all day long. I just didn't have time to do it. I was on the phone and doing a million things. And folks, we're going to try so hard at the beginning of next week to get these mail-outs done.
Oh, I'm doing that tomorrow.
I do it tomorrow.
I didn't have those books I needed to
Folks,
start.
if you're a Patreon member, send us what you need, okay? So we can get it to you. All right? Please, because we got to get that done. We're going to get it done. We can't do any of the giveaways right now. We've been told it's probably not a good idea. And as far as anything legal or whatever, we're just waiting on them if they want to make a move so I can depose it. It's fine with me. Do what you got to do. You're Daisy if you do. The poll ready?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. Oh, okay. I can even see it.
Yeah, I don't think we can see it.
Yeah, you can. It's right there. Put me back on the main. Or if I can see the deal better. There we go. Government experiment, alien, a preform, or an underground creature. Is it showing what we got here?
Yeah, go back to here.
Okay. Let me put my glasses on so I can see what the heck these people are telling us. Government experiments 21%. Ooh, underground creature 51%. But what if it is an alien species that lives underground? Have you thought about that? No, you just think about yourself. That's all you.
Real selfish.
Real selfish. Maybe the thing with the bear fur. Who knows? What about Skinwalker or a Wendigo? We could have put that on there. What is it? That wasn't an option, Wolf. What wasn't an option? What I just said? What about a robot pirate? Would that be an option?
I think it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's
Climbs
a
on
real
walls.
guy. Except for now, he's not a real guy in the latest movie. It's cartoon.
And by the way, Dick Richards on Patreon, go ahead and send us your mailing information and your shirt size so we can get your stuff sent
Dick
out.
lives in Canada. We can't send it.
Oh crap. Okay.
Well, we'll send
gotta
it
do
to you
something.
metaphorically.
What do we do?
I don't know. We'll contact him in private.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We could always just like send him credit for the store. He can go and buy himself some merch.
Yeah.
He could always come fly over here real quick, I guess.
You can fly into the next well, I don't know. By the time the next
Oh,
conference
yeah.
comes, they're probably not going to be able to leave the country. I would not be wanting to stay there right now. I can tell you that. So underground creature is pretty much the winner of that poll.
Well, we can't ship to Australia either. 86.
Yeah, I need to work something out where I get maybe Paul Wallace. I can get in touch with him and have him send a book or something to you. Same thing I do for people in the UK. We send a book from what's his name, Paul Sinclair.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm going to do something for you right now. We will do a giveaway for you if you're in the UK. If you're in the UK, I will absolutely send you something. Go to the big screen so I can see. I got it. I think I can do it. I got it right here. So if you're in the UK right now, we're going to do a giveaway for you, especially for you. I'll pick 2 people, and I'll have not Paul Wallace. Paul Wallace is in Australia.
Sinclair.
Paul Sinclair, the guy that made Wolflands. He's written several books, and he's also got a show called Truth Proof. Amazing guy. Paul Sinclair is from the UK. So if you want us to have him send you a book, then I'm gonna hook you up right now. So if you're from the UK and you're in the audience, tell me right now. Nobody from the UK, huh?
David John Roberts is from Liverpool.
David John Roberts? He says, "Yo, okay, so what you need to do is if you're listening, David, send us your information, and so I can send it over to Paul Sinclair, and I'll have him send you a book." Somebody right there below him, Ben Kutio. How do you say that? Yes, UK here, mate. Yep, pick both of you guys. I pick you too right now. I'm gonna have Paul Sinclair send you a book, an autographed copy of his book. Or if he's got a copy of Wolflands, I can check and see if he can send you a copy of that if you want that autographed. Or you can always watch Wolflands on Amazon Prime. Let's see. Also, check out The Beast of Brushy Creek by my friend from Media Palace, Eric Palacios. Nikki McSporn says, "I'm in the UK, and I'm sorry if I offended you by speaking of Vault." Speaking of Vault, Josh is the GOAT of Paranormal. I don't care about that guy. I mean, he's done some pretty, I don't even want to talk about him. It makes my stomach hurt to think about the things he's done to people. Him and his buddy, DW. See, DW is trying to distance himself from everybody and make it out like, "Oh, I didn't do anything. I'm just trying to get away from these guys." Nah, you were all up in there with those guys. You're a big part of it.
Hey, David, do you see right above his head? It's like a moving text. You can send your email right over there.
Yeah, Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Send me your address, your information. Make sure it's correct. And I'll have Paul Sinclair send you a book. I have a deal with him. And, yep, we'll pay for the book. It helps him, and he gets to send it to you. I wish we could do giveaways for the people in America right now, but our lawyer's like, well, after what happened with Janice, probably not such a good idea.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to ruin the fun. You got to ruin everything for everybody. But I'm not supposed to, but I don't really care. I'm like waiting for these people. Please sue me. Do what you got to do so we can make everything come out. So you got to answer those hard questions. How many of these sock puppet accounts did you make? But we already know they're such liars. They'll probably lie under oath. They don't care. They'll probably get up there and lie their butts off. They're trying to clean up their YouTube accounts now. Mm-hmm. I would if I were you, I guess, if I was that dirty. I don't feel the need to. I mean, my stuff's set to private, so we can't have people harassing us, but it's there. I'm not going to run and hide. Do what you got to do. You got a new friend now, probably Mr. Strudel. He'll probably join in the fun and whatever. He went off ranting on my Facebook. Ranting on my Facebook for what, 3 hours?
Probably, yeah.
Like a giant man-child, probably still going. Look, you have no right to do that, but that's very, very bad. It looks very bad on you. Okay. So you just spun out after I didn't cuss at you and cuss you out. I just asked you a very simple question. What you did to my wife, you and your buddy, Fab, what's his name? Fab Jack or
Something.
some bull crap.
Some silly crap.
Fab Mac. What you did was not nice. It was not nice. And you think you're cute doing it, and you do it to a lot of people. Hmm.
That'll
And-
work, Ben.
But the buck stops with me. You understand? Because I don't play around. Homie, don't play that. Say what you want about me, but you're not going to talk about my wife or my nephews. You're not going to talk about my friends, Bettina, Abe, whoever. Because they're my friends in real life, too, not just on the internet, whatever. You can say whatever you want about me. I don't give a crap. What I get upset about is when people talk about my family. And you think you're going to get a rise out of me. Well, you did. And guess what? You look like a big idiot. You just keep going and going like the Energizer Bunny. Why? Thank you, Mammy J. Hall, for saying that. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you for She Rocks for suggesting that poll. And, you know, she says, learn how to use the feature. I don't know if you're being snarky or whatever. We do know how to do stuff. We can push buttons. I don't know if you're messing with us or you're being, because nowadays we can't be too careful. It's like you don't know. You know, you think somebody's your friend and they just, Lance Hightower. That's funny, Daniel, that you said that because I literally just talked to Lance, texting him earlier today. Lance Hightower. Me and him were messaging today. Yeah. That's weird. Daniel, you mentioned a story by DW and then you mentioned Lance Hightower, who I did actually correspond with today. I am working on a project, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I got to figure this out. I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's take another poll. We're going to make another poll before we go, folks, and this one's very important because I need your input on this one. There's going to be four different choices.
Pulling it up tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The first one put ghosts.
Well, you have to ask the question.
The question, I'm sorry. Question is, what should my next book be about? Because I'm torn. I started writing the third book, and then I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do that. And then I need to make a Kickstarter or GoFundMe. I don't know about GoFundMe. I don't know how good those work, but I've never done one. But we need to pay for the board game to be released. Yeah, put ghosts and hauntings on there.
And me and Wolf were talking about this last night, but I was thinking about setting up like a gaming channel and maybe starting something doing like that.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always playing games anyway, so.
What happened? Is that the whole? I was like, well, we're done.
That's the
And then the other one, the other book, I was thinking about writing encounters or stories like just like a paranormal potluck of cryptid encounters, but not really cryptids, more like little people and the rake and flying humanoids, you know, like a menagerie, like Ken's Menagerie, Mysterious Beast. No, because Paranormal Potluck doesn't do it. It would be like a book just about inhumanoids, you know, like kind of like Bartonelli's, but cryptid / inhumanoids, the obscure stuff and the things like that. I don't know. That's what I thought about doing. I thought it would be a cool book. Why not? Why not? Because, you know, you have all these, like the Bigfoot book, though, goes into a lot of paranormal phenomena. But hold on one second.
Cryptid Menagerie sounds nice for a book title for that
There
one.
you go. You just gave the title away. Gosh, dog it.
You did.
I just messed it up. So then on this one, let's put the UAP, which is unidentified alien presence, also unidentified aerial phenomena. And then just put like alien and abduction. Thank you for that donation, Jason. It's incredible.
He says, PRT family, Josh continuously dropping historical knowledge.
Yeah, if you go to the episode I did with Blondes and Booze, go check that out. And check out the one that Barton did too. But the one I did with Blondes and Booze, and it had a lot of history in there too. And then the last one, MK Ultra. because I got a lot of information on that too. Yeah. Let's start the poll. Double Aaron, can you get more hoodies in the store? Do we have more hoodies? And don't we have the zip up? We're supposed to be getting the mock up of the simple of the
Yeah, we got a. There's one last test sample that has to come in. It's on its way in, so we can see how it looks like in person, because the mock-up doesn't tell you exactly how it's going to look. That should be in, I think, either over the weekend or at the beginning of next week. And if that looks good, then we'll push it forward to the store and it'll be available. So
yeah.
People are pretty excited about it.
And the colors of the shirts, people were saying that because you could those were exclusive to the conference.
yeah.
But we have a few left, and we wanted to do a giveaway. We really need to we need to find out what Steve thinks about that. I got to talk to the lawyer and see what he thinks. I really don't want to. I hate that the people have to ruin everything, dude. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's literally been one of our longest standing traditions is our giveaways.
Yeah, we're giveaways, man. But I mean, whatever. So cryptids and humanoids, 42%. So then I guess we're gonna go with ghosts. Sorry, I'm kidding, folks. No, we did. I started like the UAP book, or I started ghosts, and then I was like, you know what? I switched it up because I did the same thing last time. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Did I want to do a book about werewolves and Dogman, or did I want to do a book about Bigfoot, or both? And then I just kind of started writing two at the same time.
86 says, I don't know what MK Ultra is. I'm sorry for my ignorance. That's all the more reason why he might need to write a book for it.
So I can teach you. MK Ultra, I would encourage you to go to Christopher Gaetano's. I would refer them to that.
Yeah.
What is the name of it? It's all about MK Ultra. What is the name of his documentary? Not Dark Files. The Montauk Chronicles.
Montauk Chronicles.
Go to what channel is it on now?
Well, I mean, if you want to watch Montauk Chronicles, you can
Is
either
it on YouTube?
Yeah, I think he has like the full documentary on his YouTube, which is called, I think it's just under his name. No. Hang on, let me see. His YouTube channel is called Strange World, actually. Let me make sure. And I think on the Strange World, see, so if you're looking up his channel, you have to type in Strange World and then his last name, Gaetano. And then you'll find his channel.
Yeah, Pug Wedgie said it's on his channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like on Tubi and maybe Amazon Prime.
Thank you, Anunnaki, bro. He said you would write an amazing spirituality book. Hey, Mike Turner, where you been? You showed up late.
It was cool hanging out with you, Anunnaki, bro.
Yeah,
Came
he's
down.
a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hollister, I've got his DVD. Yeah, I think that if you, Anna Al-Jabari says the vid with Blondes and Booze was absolutely awesome. It's a must watch. A lot of people are telling me they liked that episode. Yeah, I did. I had fun with that one. Says, I have a great time with y'all. Thank you y'all a ton. Yeah, thank you for showing up to the book signing, even though it didn't happen because I got my life threatened. These people are bugs. You can't coexist with bugs, dude. They're just bug people. They're just pests. But, yeah, I guess it's Mara Black. Mara says it's on Tubi. You know, so I guess there's another one. So go check out Strange World. Go check out all of his work. It's White Phosphorus Films, and I'm actually going to be doing a cameo in his new one, A Haunting We Will Go. I was thrilled that he asked me to do a short interview for the Haunting We Will Go. I thought that's cool. It's a full-length featured film. So I guess I'll be doing an appearance on that. So he's a great guy. I like Chris Gaetano a lot. He's a good guy. 86. Yeah, they are. This says here, Calico Jack, love the Blondes and Booze episode. Wolf Howl. Yeah, Holly, you're right. They are. Do a book about one-offs, all the strange stories. That's down the road, John. I'm definitely thinking of that, of thinking of doing a book of one-offs, because it's something that I actually talked to Lyle about, Lyle Blackburn. We were going over cases of one-offs, and that's where he gave me the story about the devil in the park, and he came on the show and talked about it, you know, but check out his podcast too, and don't forget Barton, because Barton with Inhumanoids. And now if he's going to be doing the live stream, I hope he continues. I know he said something about wanting to take a break, but I hope he continues to do the live streams. I think he'll be really good.
And check out Lyle as well, Lyle's channel.
I just said that.
Oh.
You're smoking too much.
Oh, and by the way, check out Lyle
With your
Blackburn's channel.
water
Did
pipes.
you
And-
mention
and-
Barton's channel?
And
Yeah.
He was
also
on
Christopher
Blondes and
Garitano.
You're both talking at the same time. What?
I said check out Lyle Blackburn's channel. Nobody said that yet.
I know,
And
but
then
he's talking at the same time you were.
and
I
then-
was, I
and
was
then
just mentioning you
we
should
also
check
didn't
out.
mention Christopher Garitano. Nor did we mention Barton Nunley.
You should mention Barton.
I
Nunley.
just said.
He was on Blondes and
When?
Booze.
I've said it like 3. Are you joking with me right now? Shut up. Messing with me. Don't
Can't
say
believe you
that.
didn't pick
'cause
up
then-
on that immediately.
Well, because I don't want to.
Well, I was messing with him, but you didn't pick.
Well, you never know, because people get really upset when you don't. So whatever. Hey, Michigan Rob, what's up, man? You're a good guy. Oh, Bigfoot Rob, could you do me a favor and dispel a myth real quick? I'm being accused of paying other channels to say they stand with me. Did I pay you to do that? Did I pay you to make that video? I didn't pay you for that. What the heck is going on here? These people love to not live in reality. Not you, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, but our counterparts, our enemies, whatever. They love to try to spin narratives, and then they're like, let's destroy a narrative, and then they just say some just banal, stupid whatever.
Yeah, it's gibberish.
Yeah. Spilling Tea says, you paid me tons with entertainment.
Chris Sanders said
What did
getting,
Chris Anderson say?
getting messed with by the forehead gallery.
Yeah, I mean, they and then they're all like, I was in the military, I'm a cowboy, whatever. YMCA, I don't know what their deal is. Donnie Cho made that funny meme with. I gotta stop. When I was with Black Skunk, I invaded the beaches of Normandy. Now, I was 70 years after the fact, but so what? I walked up there with my assault rifle, and everybody ran screaming. I don't know why. I was also in the nude. But I had a bandolier around my chest, and I was ready to go to war. All right? Bring it. The vulture is here. Bring it. That's all I got to say. My heart don't pump Kool-Aid. All right? And now we don't even know if that's true. Is his heart really functioning at 20% or 40%? We don't even know. And let me tell you something, Vulture. I'm going to give you a little PSA here, folks, about him. His wife, you're guilty too. Mm-hmm. We're not playing around. You knew what was up. Stop acting. Okay. I know you don't like that, Vulture, but that's what it is. And I'm not going to come after you and mess with you, and you damn sure better not come after me and mess with me. That's all I got to say about that. So you do what you got to do, man. You got all these people on you now. I don't even worry about you. Magman says, "Didn't you say you were a Texas Ranger?" Yes, I'm a Rangers I'm a lifelong Astros and Rangers fan. I have seen every Major League Baseball team play. Some of them multiple times. Like I've seen the Pirates like 3 times, and I was in Kansas City one time, and I stopped and I ate at this really cool diner, and I went to see the Royals play one time against the Orioles. It was one of the boringest games I ever saw. They were both in the cellar. It was terrible. But, it was cool. And my dream is to one day at least go to Fenway, because the Red Sox, I love the Bo Sox. They're my 3rd favorite team. If my Texas teams aren't in contention, then I'm rooting for the Red Sox all the way. 2004, when they beat the Yankees, when they were down 3-0, they came back. It was amazing. That was sweet. Anytime the Yanks get beat, I'm happy. Anytime the Lakers get beat, I'm happy. The only sports team from the Big Four that hasn't won now in Texas are the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting on you, Houston. Houston, we have a problem. Let's do it.
They always get to the playoffs and they'll mess it up.
Well, for years they had a great team when they had Cushing and Watt and all those guys and Clowney. The reason they messed up, or the reason they couldn't get,
There were always injuries.
Injuries. The quarterback was hurt.
Well, it always seemed like Clowney's hurt and then Watt's hurt.
They could never be on the field at the same time, and then somebody was always injured, and then they lost to the Patriots. The Patriots were just so powerful at that time, Mm-hmm. But we could get exactly Calico. Let's get it going here. For you, those of you who stuck around, I'm going to tell you one more story, and I'm going to give you this one. This is one that I probably shouldn't be telling because it should be something I'm going to tell on Sunday. Hopefully, my guests, I can move them over to Sunday and we can do the Sunday thing or whatever. But I have a bunch of stuff here that I could tell. There's a bunch of stories right here. And let's call them what they are. They're encounters. They're real encounters from real people, not this moronic, what's it called, AI generated stories with 6 fingers. None of that bull crap. That's not real. So this story is not very long, but this one came out of the piney woods of East Texas near Cato Lake. And this one came from Ginger. And Ginger told us this story. And I'm going to tell you very quickly. I didn't even have a whole lot of time. But she was going to sleep one night, and she saw something move in her backyard. They had motion sensor lights. This was only a few years ago, like 2017. And she saw this thing that come up to the window and looked right in the window. And she's like, I had the window up. It was just a screen. She's like, I had a little blue lamp right there, whatever. And my husband's snoring. He's asleep. He's on his side. He's out. And she's like, and I look over in the window, and I'm reading a book, and I hear this grunt. And she's like, and I see this ape-like face. The nose was flat. It looked very gorilla-like, the way she described it. And she says, I thought I was looking at a gorilla. She's like, I thought, that's a gorilla. She she sits there in the bed, and she slowly starts to reach by the dresser. She has a pistol right there. This thing is standing there, and she doesn't know what its intentions are. And she says it puts its face right up against the screen and kind of moves it up and down, physically affecting it. And she's like, then I thought better of it. She's like, as I reached for this thing, she's like, I felt it like it was trying to talk to me, and it was basically telling her, don't do it. Don't try it. She's like, then it just turned and got down and walked away. She said that it seemed like it shrunk down, like it got on all fours. The back bedroom window was pretty high up. She says she was overcome with fear, just like completely paralyzed, terrified. Here's the weird thing about this whole situation. This is what really got me about this. She says I said, did you think it was just a flesh and blood ape-like creature? She said, yeah. The only problem is I have 2 German Shepherds in the backyard, and they didn't bark. And I thought, oh, no, they're dead. It killed them. It unalived them. So she says she got up, and she walks around, goes to the backyard and looks, and they're both sitting there sound asleep. How did what essentially would have amounted to a 7-foot-tall gorilla-like creature, look in her back window with 2 full-grown, mature male German Shepherds back there in the backyard?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Stepped out of a portal or something.
Or something. It's like Josh's book, what is it, Where the Footprints End? I mean, it's very much like that. But I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I have no clue what that would be. If it was me and I saw this gorilla face, whatever. Now, me personally, I am not afraid of some kind of gorilla thing, all right? I would have gotten up, and not joking, I would have gotten up, I would have gotten a weapon, of course, but I would have went to the window, at least close to it, and got a good look. But I can understand a woman that's 56 years old not wanting to get up and go
confront.
No, I mean, who the hell would? She's like, I was trying to push my husband. Well, he wouldn't even awake. And then she thought, what if he wakes up like, ugh, and startles this thing or something. So she says sometimes he'd wake up and he'd be all like startled, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a freaky thing, dude. I mean, and yes, JFB, yes, because I had a German Shepherd. I've had 2 of them. In my life, I've actually had 3 German Shepherds, but 2 of them that were trained. German Shepherds are not heavy sleepers.
No.
Mine wasn't. He was not. He would wake up quick.
Yeah.
Barked at everything. A cricket. So you got to wonder what that was.
I mean, I always thought like the best mix was like a radar dog, which is like a little Chihuahua, which just barks at everything, and then a German Shepherd, because the German Shepherd are such light sleepers. Because me and Chad used to breed them, And then
You always had German Shepherds.
mhm.
And I was around a lot of them. I'd say Axel was probably the most.
Oh, I love Axel.
He was a good dog.
Cindy still. I mean, we still have some of their descendants. Like
Yeah.
Cindy has Thor, and another one has like Loki.
Axel was well trained too. Like,
He was
like
great.
he was cool with you, but you could tell like if y'all wanted him to protect you, it would protect you.
It was really tough seeing him get old.
Oh, I know. That's what happened to me with Ivan. It was awful. My Mastiffs. I love my Mastiffs. Daniel Palmquist says almost like astral projection stuff. Yeah, the weird thing though about this is that it was very ape-like. I mean, it looked like a gorilla. She said it was like a gorilla, and her first thought was she said first thought was Bigfoot, but then she thought, what if it's a gorilla that escaped from a zoo or an enclosure somewhere? She wasn't real sure. You know, it's just a weird thing. But anyways, folks, thanks for sticking with us. 3 hours and 10 minutes and what's
Just
going on?
one real quick question.
No, hell no. What?
Real quick question. Do you think animals can astral project?
Are you asking me or the audience?
Well, I mean both, I guess. But do you think it's possible for animals to have that, like, where they leave their body, or
I mean, I don't want to say that I believe that's possible because I just haven't heard any kind of like stories like that. I mean, like I've heard stories of like animals dying and then
spirits?
their spirit will kind of linger around afterwards. But I've
Okay,
never.
well then when we get to the house, I need to show you a couple because I have a couple of what I deem to be now. I would say 1 cat and 2 dog stories, but they're not. I don't know about astral project. I would say this: they're okay. Now you got me talking here. Okay, folks. Now you got me sticking here. Now I don't know, man. I want to talk about this. Maybe we should save it till Sunday.
we'll save it?
Maybe somebody throws me a little.
we'll give them something to chew on.
maybe.
Here,
until-
yeah, that you guys think about that
Maybe
as
I'll
well.
show you a little skin.
You guys eat on that, and then we'll talk about it on Sunday.
No, don't eat on it. Chew on it.
You eat on that?
It's not gonna be there for Sunday if they eat on it.
What are you talking about?
I don't want them to.
You don't want them to what?
You got your English terms. I got my Vietnamese terms. All right, we're both
Oh
right.
yeah, like you're
Oh yeah, you barely speak Vietnamese.
I speak more Vietnamese than you.
no, he
do.
does actually.
Oh yeah, I wonder why that is. I wonder why Tony speaks more Vietnamese than I do.
Oh, you're stupid. You don't know
What a
Vietnamese.
big
It's not my
mystery.
fault. Jeez. God.
What are
like,
you?
like your mom says, my Vietnamese is better than your English,
Yeah.
or my English is better than your Vietnamese. But I always tell her we're not in Vietnam. I'm like, doubt we're not in Vietnam. Now, if we were in Vietnam, that would be a real problem for me. I'd have to figure out how to say where's the bathroom and probably figure out how to, I don't know, say all kinds of stuff. But I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Hong Kong years ago. And I'm not going to get into the whole, this is nobody's business, whatever. I was in Hong Kong, and I didn't realize the first restaurant, and Anthony's laughing here already. He knows the story. I go into a restaurant, and I had this thing where I was reading off, and I was trying to say, it was Cantonese, and they speak Cantonese there. And it was in the late 90s. It was 1999, I believe. And I was with a couple friends of ours. We were all there. And I said, and they weren't with me at this point. I had to go and use the bathroom, so I was trying to ask the guy, and the guy's like, and I was like, okay, and I said, do you serve this? There was a type of noodle that I was told try this, and he goes, oh, noodle, and I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, restroom, and I said, okay. So I went to the restroom. I came back out. I said, I guess I'll take that. Then I started trying to read or whatever, and he goes, look, dude. Okay, he goes, the British, they controlled this place until a couple years ago. He was like, we all speak English pretty good. All right? And he said it just like that. To this day, me and that guy are still friends. I kid you not, we're still friends. And in fact, his, I guess his nephew used to train. He used to train at the gym with us. He's a nice guy. And then my friend Sergio Lamb, who lives there too, he's in Hong Kong. He's a Muay Thai fighter. What the heck, man? I'm over here choking. But he tells me that, and I didn't catch on right away. I just kept trying to pronounce this, and he goes, "Don't worry about that, dude." He goes, "You're fine." Okay. He goes, "We all speak English." I'm over there like trying to, and the people that told me that they had kind of buffaloed me. They were telling me, "Hey, you're not going to be able to make it if you go into this area because nobody speaks English over there," and everybody did. And I'm over there like, chung chim choi cho, you know, what? And he was all like, look, dude. And he said literally just like that. Like he was from, like he was a surfer from you know, Venice Beach or something, you know, like Malibu. You know, he's like, look, dude, we all speak, don't worry about it. We speak English, okay? And so I was like, okay, cool. I don't need this, you know? And because of that, though, I didn't learn a lot. I didn't learn a lot of Cantonese. But yeah, it was a interesting place. It was actually really cool because they had like markets there where this was what's really cool. Like they had a lot of factories there, and they would make the GI Joes there. When I was a kid, it said "Made in Hong Kong" on the leg of the GI Joe, the inner left leg, I believe it was, and they made the Transformers there. So when I was there, they had these outdoor markets, these pagoda type markets. It was really whatever, and they had still in the packages, and this was like in 1999, and I bought a couple. I still have them somewhere. And they had these GI Joes that people would get from the factories. And it was crazy. And they were from like the 80s. And these people that worked in those factories, they got a bunch of them. They would get them and take them home, you know. And so some of them were smart enough to, you know, like a lot of people aren't smart enough to remember, like, don't play with something in the pack, leave it in the package, you know.
Yeah.
And so they did. They had a bunch of them there at this one market. And so I bought a few of them, and I had an original Storm Shadow. I still have it. It's like from 1986 or something like that. But I was like, oh, man, because at that time even, it was like 13 years old, you know, and it was still in the package, like pristine, you know, and so I got them. And, of course, you could go to the airports back then, and it was a few years before 9/11, and you didn't get a colonoscopy and everything else that happens now, you know. But, yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff there. And then I bought a Skyfire, but it had the Cantonese writing on it or whatever. It was Jetfire. They call them Jetfire.
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, if you know about the 80s and all that, that's what that is. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We love you guys. I really love you guys. I love my audience. You guys are the best. When this guy did what he did today and spun out and came out attacking and came onto my Facebook. Thank you, Adrian, at Walking on Dead.
Walking unalive.
Unalive. Yeah. Thank you
That's
for that
very
donation.
generous.
That's a big boost right there. I'm going to tell you this: you guys stepped up to the plate, and he hung around. Mr. Strudel's got some issues, man. I'm not joking. Please, Stevie. Okay, just go your way. Okay, you can go your own way. Go your own way. Okay, do that. Go your own way. All right? We don't want any trouble. We don't want to fight with you. We don't want anything. Just go back to your group where you attack people. I'm going to give the paratroopers the heads up. Spread the word to people who are experiencers and who have a belief in something. Don't go to their group. Just leave them alone. Let them be on that butt naked on an island, throwing spears at people, whatever. Okay? Because if you go there and you tell your encounter, you'll get attacked. Maybe not now. Maybe now that they caught a little flack for it. But they've been doing this for a long time. What they don't understand is how powerful PRT is. They don't understand how powerful the paratroopers are. Paratroopers are amazingly tough. I've met some of the toughest people ever. I'm not joking. Like tenacious, tough people that I wouldn't want to be in a street fight with these people. Some of these people that I've met through this, they're tough. Tough people. Tough mentally, spiritually, physically. You guys. This war, we didn't ask for this war, but it came to us, and you stepped up and you showed muscle. You showed your muscle, dude, for real. Flexing hard on these people with the nasty, bad things that they do and say. Showing them that we as a community, we're not going to take it. We're going to be at the forefront of this. Go ahead, come on, mess with us. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. That's what happens. You know? Scream and shout and gnash your teeth because there's a lot of people just gnashing their teeth. And then some are jumping for joy. But the fact is that we're still here and the paratroopers are number one. You're number one.
He was number one.
Schmitty Jensen. I love SpongeBob. But look, folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back Sunday with a guest, without a guest. It doesn't matter. We'll do whatever we got to do, I guess, right? Thank you for tuning in and making Paranormal Roundtable what it is. Liberty, it's good to see you. Who else we got in the chat? Let me name some people here. John Sablon, been around forever. Awesome guy. Oh, Diablo, you've been around forever. They hate us because they ain't us. That's right. That's my older brother. We started this together doing all this stuff, Calico Jack, Madeline. Hey, Maddie. How you doing, Maddie? Bunch of sweet kids. She's a good person. Walking with Giants. Everybody. Two Shadows. Dorothy Metcalf. She's a legend. She's awesome. Anunnaki Bro. One of the coolest dudes around.
Dina Russo.
Dina Russo. Liberty. Everybody. Bigfoot Rob. Pug Wedgie. You've been around forever. Athena. Double Aaron. Everybody. Thank you so much for being around. Thank you for being a part of what we do. Rebecca Mondragon. That was my stepdad's last name. A great guy. He was a great guy. He owned a ranch down in Monterey. Good night, Paranormal. Caitlin, great. Yep. Good night, everybody. Julie Stanton, Charlie Budden, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Who is this? Chris Sirk. I don't think I've formally met you. He says me, with an exclamation point. I don't know that I've met you before, but if start coming to the chat. Once we get the green light to start doing giveaways again, we have a ton of merchandise, so we want to give it away. Okay, we do. All right, folks. Red Harvest, good seeing you. Elastic Machinery, Patsy Trigg, you guys been around forever. David John Roberts, I think he's the one that won, didn't he?
Yeah.
Give me your information. We'll make sure that our colleague and really, really good friend, Paul Sinclair, sends you a book. Okay. I was featured. My book was featured on Linda Moulton House Show along with Joe Barger. Joe Barger, amazing guy. Shot one of these things, allegedly. I can't say he did 100% because that would be, But allegedly, in his words, he shot one, and it's in my book. And Linda Moulton Howe featured it, and I didn't even know we were on her show. I was like, people were messaging me, and they were like, "Hey, go to Linda Moulton Howe's show."
Yeah.
And I go over there, and I'm trying to eat dinner.
And it was perfect timing because, as soon as we pulled her show up, as she was showing
My book.
Yeah, your book on the screen, talking about it.
So it was really cool. And so then I went back and I rewatched the thing or whatever, and it's really cool story with Joe Barger, what happened to him. Martin Grove's another amazing one with amazing story. Mike Turner, now I know you, and if you need something, I know that you're not going to come back and try to say I committed a home invasion with my horrible nephews here, people of color committing home invasions. You know how we are. Oh, I'm not one, though. We can't be related because I'm not as brown. But if you want to send me your information, Mike, my brother from another mother, for sure. I'll send you whatever you need, whatever you want. Guys, if you've already been something, you're friends of mine, and I've already sent you something, you need something for your Patreon or whatever, we'll get it to you. Susan Woodcarver, does she have Patreon? We're sending her something for Patreon?
I asked her if she received her package, and she has.
Okay, good. Susan, awesome. Because let me tell you something about Susan real quick, folks. When my mom was dying in 2021, Susan carved an angel for my mother. God damn. She carved me an angel, and she carved one for my mother. I still have it. And my mom never got to see it. I never got to give it to her. That's a hard thing. But I appreciate that, Susan. I know I get kind of emotional sometimes thinking about my mother, All right, guys. So, Holly Berry, how you doing? We'll see you guys. Everybody, 86, spilling tea. Everybody, good night. We love you.